Pokémon. Starting with Greninja, this video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 250. After the war, Zhu Feng's sudden show of pretentiousness broke Zhu Mu's heavy mood. Damn, this cheap dad is really good. He's quite good at showing off. Some people were left to clean up the scene, deal with the elves after the battle, and the corpses. Zhu Mu, Chiao and others took out Dan Yang's body and left the underwater secret realm. So far, the mountain climbing event has come to an end. Whether it was Dan Yang's life-saving rescue, Zhu Feng's thousands of miles of assistance, or Kyle's support without losing face, Zhu Mu has already remembered it in his heart. In the Alliance Center, Zhu Mu handed all his elves to Zhu Zioxiao. With her, the chief physician of the East, Zhu Mu was quite relieved. Go out for a walk, Zhu Feng said softly as he walked to Zhu Mu. He will soon return to the border, and now Zhu Mu has the strength to fight invincible alone. There is no need to keep many things he couldn't know before. Okay, Zhu Mu nodded. He also had a lot of questions to ask. Regarding the secret realm, who exactly was fighting with Zhu Feng? Just Team Rocket. There is another world, that is, the elf world. What is the situation now? After leaving the Alliance Center, Zhu Mu spoke first. Father, that. Before he finished speaking, Zhu Feng suddenly stopped and turned back to look at Zhu Mu. Good boy. You are almost as tall as me. After comparing their heights, Zhu Feng curled his lips, a little envious of Zhu Mu's appearance. Although he is already very handsome, as a member of the Zhu family, his appearance is definitely the best among the best. But compared with Zhu Mu face to face, it is still a little bit worse. Okay, I know you have a lot of questions. One by one, finding an open space, Zhu Feng sat down. Zhu Mu followed him and said, let's talk about Sirona first. She shouldn't be Uncle Kyle's biological daughter, right? Zhu Mu's first question made Zhu Feng stunned. Kyle told you? Zhu Mu shook his head. Did Sirona tell you? Zhu Mu continued to shake his head. Neither, I guessed. Intuition. Zhu Mu pointed to his brain. He has the power of wave guidance, the power of super conquer, and the power of Chingpan. The effects of these supernatural powers are varied, including some mind-reading effects. After using telepathy to say something in Zhu Feng's mind, Zhu Feng nodded in relief. So that's how it is, you have special abilities. Zhu Feng looked at his son with envy and couldn't help but smack his lips. See, he is indeed my son, so excellent. When Zhu Mu heard this in his mind, he immediately lowered his head and was speechless. Yes, Kyle is an old virgin. He seems to have a fear of mating. Since Zhu Mu had already guessed something, Zhu Feng was not going to hide it and casually revealed a big melon. It seems that this guy may not be able to beat you now, but the overall strength of your elf is still not strong enough. When you are sure that you can beat Kyle, tell this gossip and let him feel comfortable. If you are not from the same family, you will not enter the same door. When Zhu Feng said this big melon, he had already helped Zhu Mu think about when to bring it out to humiliate his future father-in-law. Okay, I won't tell him first. Wait until I can beat him. Zhu Mu nodded. He is not stupid. Even if Zhu Feng does not remind him, he will not rashly use this matter to tease Kyle. What if it gets out of hand? That would be so bad. Let's wait until I can crush him, and then avenge the arrow. Sirona is the baby we picked up on the battlefield. There is a jade pendant with her name on her body. We feel that this girl should be a descendant of a big family in the other world. It's a pity that people in our world have never been able to go to the other world. Otherwise we can help Sirona find her relatives. After listening, Zhu Mu asked, what is the name of our world? Why can't people here enter that so-called other world? Also, we can't enter, but the other party can enter us at will. Isn't this super passive? Zhu Feng was also helpless about Zhu Mu's question. Of course it's passive. If it wasn't passive, would he have told Zhu Mu so seriously that he must become stronger? Yes, they can enter our world. The border is actually a secret elf realm, but this secret realm connects our two worlds at the same time. This happened decades ago. When we first discovered the other world, we were a little excited, but later, we realized that the people in this other world seemed to be some not very serious guys. They captured elves and used unreasonable means to keep the elves in the secret realm in captivity. They call our world the post-civilization world, which means that our elf civilization was established too recently. Zhu Feng said, looking up at the sky. After a period of trial in the world, we gradually realized that there is also an elf alliance in the other world. It's just that the ruling power and law enforcement capabilities of that alliance are too weak. Illegal organizations are rampant and unscrupulous, and those who appeared on the border are the largest evil organization in the other world. Team Rocket. Zhu Mu nodded and said, "So, the one who wanted to snatch your mother from you was Sakaki?" Zhu Feng looked at Zhu Mu in confusion. How does this kid know so much? Yes, it's him. Zhu Mu didn't bother to care what his cheap father thought, and continued, "Then you can't beat Sakaki?" "Bah, who said I can't beat him? When your father beat Sakaki to pieces, you weren't even born yet." Zhu Feng certainly wouldn't admit that he was inferior to others. He quickly refuted, "Anyway, Sakaki wasn't here, so he said whatever he said." "Sakaki, no right to speak." So, the only one we have contact with at present is Team Rocket." Zhu Mu ignored Zhu Feng's bragging and continued to ask questions. "That's about right. I heard that the alliance in the other world is having a hard time. These evil organizations are particularly rampant." Zhu Mu pondered for a while. Seeing that Zhu Feng was not impatient, he asked again, "Can you tell me about the more famous leaders in the alliance? If I meet them in the future, it would be better to have an impression, right?" Zhu Feng heard that what his son said did make sense. This kid is too good at making trouble. This time he set up a hunter organization. Who knows what he will encounter next time? Forget it. It's better to explain it to him clearly. After organizing his thoughts, Zhu Feng decided to start introducing Zhu Mu from the few people he was most impressed with. The alliance of the other world. Mainly these few people lead various regions to fight against evil organizations. Chapter 251. The halo of the protagonist in the other world is lost. I remember the most famous one seemed to be a woman named Kona, who seemed to be from Kanto. She uses ice-type Pokémons, and her combat power is particularly strong. Her characteristic is that she wears glasses and has big breasts. Zhu Feng said, not at all embarrassed, and continued, "There is also a man named Qianli, who uses ordinary type Pokémons, with a short flat head and a common face. The ace is the king of leaves. This guy is quite something. I heard that he is about to break through to invincibility." Zhu Mu was a little confused, but he did not interrupt his cheap father words, nodded and continued to listen. "Then there is an old man named Xiaobo, who uses fire-type Pokémons, also from Kanto. There is an old man in Chengdu who uses ice-type Pokémons. His name is Liu Bo. They should know each other. Then there is also a guy who plays with fire in the Hoenn region. I can't remember his name. A man. Oh, yes. His name is Genji. Not a fire player, but a dragon-type specialized trainer. By the way, the Sinnar region is a bit interesting. There is a guy who specializes in bug types. His name is Ayu." Zhu Mu couldn't listen anymore. The old man talked for a long time, but he didn't mention any champion or the protagonist of the generation. What's going on? Everything is here, but the protagonist is missing? Wait, old man, do you know red, green, gold, and silver? Or Xiaoguang, Zioyao, and Serena? Xianzhaogang are also fine. Have you heard of them? In response to Zhu Mu's question, Zhu Feng shook his head to show that he was ignorant. Who are these? I haven't heard of these people in the other world. Zhu Feng looked at Zhu Mu in confusion. Where did his son hear about these scraps? There is not a single famous one. Zhu Mu was stunned. The old man doesn't know these people? According to what he just said, those gym trainers or the four heavenly kings should have reached their peak at this time. Then these protagonists should also be emerging or famous, right? It's understandable that there are no red and green. These two gods are too unreasonable. Then what's the situation without the heroine and the silly thing's companions? Something is wrong. This other world is too wrong. Maybe I know why the evil organizations in the other world are so rampant. Zhu Mu touched his chin, and had a guess in his mind. At this time, The system was late but arrived. Ding. Congratulations to the host for discovering the flaws of the elf world. Ding. Congratulations to the host for finding the meaning of coming to this world. The system opens a new section. Collection mode. Collection task. Please find the children of luck from the elf world scattered in various worlds, and establish a bond with them to gain intimacy. Current collection progress. Sirona. Intimacy % 99. Sirona Intimacy Progress Reward. 10%. Lee Bite Land Shark Mega Evolution Stone. 50%. Absol Mega Evolution Stone. 80%. Skill. Mind Synchronization. When fighting with Sirona, you can hear each other's voice at the same time, increasing the tacit understanding by 100%. 100%. Strength Enhancement Candy. Supreme Peak. Zumu was stunned. Oh my god, what is the real meaning of my coming to this world? Am I just wiping the ass of the elf world? You lost your protagonist. What does it have to do with me? Zumu understood the operation of the system. No wonder Nemo's Phoenix King gave Arceus to himself, because he was afraid that he could not travel through space and help him collect the protagonists. Dad, I roughly understand the matter. Do you and my mom want to rest for a few days after you come back this time? Zumu didn't want to talk about the elf world anymore. He was now convinced. If it was a soft girl like Serena, Zumu could cultivate intimacy. But what if he ran into Cow? System, are you there? I want to ask, can I not look for some lost children of luck? Zumu asked in his heart. Ding. The host can freely decide whether to collect the child of luck. The system is still reliable. When he said this, Zumu felt much more relieved. That's good. If you run into a stupid thing, at least you can take him as an apprentice. If Nemo ran into Cow, Zumu decided to give up collecting this orphan. By the way, let Greninja give him a good beating, to see if this bastard has Suicune, and whether he can also capture a Pokémon with a trainer with one ball. No, we will cremate and bury Uncle Zhao tomorrow, and we will go back first. The Rocket Team's offensive is too fierce, and this alliance in another world is no different from a decoration. Zumu listened to his father's complaints and was speechless. Dad, don't complain, let alone the alliance. Now the whole other world is waiting for your son to save it. Damn it, the protagonist is lost. It's good enough for them to defend it. Alas, this unreliable Pokémon world. Okay, then let's go first. After chatting with his father, Zumu did get a lot of valuable information. And his new mission, becoming the strongest trainer, is all a pipe dream. Saving the world is the meaning of Zumu's existence. If you don't have anything to ask, then let's go. Seeing this, Zufeng stood up, patted the dust on his butt, and prepared to go back. Dad, can I dye my hair? Zumu suddenly asked a strange question. Zufeng was stunned. Dye your hair? What color? Zumu grinned and said, yellow. I heard that yellow hair can save the world. Zufeng shook his head, not quite understanding what Zumu meant, but he still answered readily, it's up to you. As long as Shyarona doesn't mind, we don't care. After saying that, Zufeng also remembered that Shyarona seemed to have yellow hair too. This kid, wouldn't he really want to make a couple hair color to abuse the dog? That would be too boring. Feel sorry for Kyle for a second, just a second. Back at the Alliance Center, Dayu was gently holding Shyrona's little hand, and the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law were chatting intimately. Zhu Zioxiao stepped forward and greeted Zufeng, and returned Zumu's elf to him. Charizard was seriously injured this time. A piece of his nail fell off. We just performed a nail amputation surgery on him according to his request. And the burn mark on his butt. I don't know why, but it seems to have some hair loss. He also had a full body hair treatment. Zumu quickly reached out and grabbed Zhu Zioxiao, who was laughing so hard. Auntie, stop talking. I'll pay for how much Charizard cost. Are you counting on Charizard as your only customer to generate sales in your hospital? Zhu Zioxiao nodded seriously after hearing this. Now that you mention it, it's true. Charizard is usually worth the cost of hundreds of Pokémon. No, I'll arrange a membership for him so he can get a discount next time he spends. Chapter 252, Flame Chicken on the line. Dr. Zhu, hurry, Flame Chicken still has a breath. Hurry up and rescue it. Just when Zhu Zioxiao sat down and prepared to take a break, an old doctor with gray hair shouted loudly in the distance. Turning around, Zhu Zioxiao had no time to rest, and hurriedly got up and went to the operating room. "Okay, I'll go over now." The flame chicken they were talking about was Zhao Tanyang's main elf. When Zumu heard this, he also hurriedly got up. "Flame chicken is not dead yet, there is still a bottle of instant recovery potion left." Without saying a word, Zumu followed Zhu Zioxiao directly into the operating room. According to common sense, the operating room should be kept in sterile conditions and outsiders are not allowed to enter. But Zhu Zioxiao found out that it was Zumu, and didn't say much. She thought he wanted to see Flame Chicken for the last time, so she acquiesced to his uninvited entry. "How is the situation?" Putting on disposable gloves, Zhu Zioxiao asked seriously. "In life, she can be that girl with a big nerve, but on the operating table, she will always be the doctor who saves the dying and the wounded." Whether it is professional ethics or worldly wisdom, Zhu Zioxiao must be in 100% condition at this moment to deal with the emergency treatment of Flame Chicken. Even though she has been operating for more than 10 hours without rest, it's not good. "We just found that he still has a heartbeat." On the bed, Flame Chicken, with only half of his body left, has no signs of breathing. In addition, his body has long been in tatters. The blood in his body is almost drained. "Prepare for electric shock, oxygen, let him breathe again, and then proceed to the next step." Zhu Zioxiao quickly decided on the treatment plan for Flame Chicken, and told herself in her heart that she must save Flame Chicken, even if only half of his body is left and he can only live in misery for the rest of his life. "Wait." Seeing the doctors preparing to perform emergency treatment, Zumu hurriedly spoke. "Let him take this," and, taking out the last bottle of recovery potion, Zumu did not hesitate at all. Flame Chicken was so seriously injured because of him. This guy is lucky and actually left a breath. But as long as he is still breathing, Zumu must save him. Let alone the recovery potion. Even if it meant losing everything, Zumu would not hesitate. "What is this?" Seeing the recovery potion, a glimmer of hope appeared in Zhu Zioxiao's eyes. To be honest, Flame Chicken was too seriously injured, and it was beyond the scope of medical treatment. Although this guy's heart was still beating slowly, it was just a dying struggle. Zhu Zioxiao was almost less than half sure about this first aid, but when Zumu took out this magical potion, Zhu Zioxiao had hope in her heart. "Dr. Zhu, what is this?" The white-haired old man saw Zumu not only broke into the operating room, but also pointed fingers at Dr. Zhu, and immediately stepped forward to ask. At this time, not a minute can be wasted. Flame Chicken is in danger. If the first aid is delayed, who will bear the responsibility? "You know, this is not an ordinary Flame Chicken, this is the last main Pokémon of Lord Zhao Tanyang. Don't worry, Flame Chicken is saved." There are no plots of pretending to be cool and slapping in the face in the Divine Doctor's novel. The old man asked only out of his medical ethics, not for any other purpose. Zhu Zioxiao also knew the magic of Zumu's potion. Without wasting a second, she walked past the old man and put the potion into the mouth of the Flame Chicken with difficulty. Half of the face of the Flame Chicken was severely burned and almost unrecognizable. One ear was also knocked off, and the chin was directly cut open, and blood was flowing. In this situation, Zhu Zioxiao didn't care too much and poured the potion directly into the chin of the Flame Chicken. Then he lifted it up and helped the potion enter the belly of the Flame Chicken. In fact, she didn't know that this instant recovery potion didn't have to be taken orally. Zumu didn't understand these things either, and he used it like this before. The moment the potion came into contact with the Flame Chicken, a miracle happened. The heartbeat of the Flame Chicken increased significantly, and his body began to slowly scab, and even had a tendency to regenerate. The lost body began to slowly grow granulation. Although this process is slow, it is also visible to the naked eye. The old man looked at the scene in front of him in surprise, and was completely stunned. A medical miracle. This is simply impossible. There is such a magical potion in the world? No one cares about his surprise, because everyone is surprised, including Zumu, who used to think that this potion was used to restore physical strength. Unexpectedly, this is completely an eternal elixir. As long as he is not dead, he can be saved even if he only has a head left. System. Do you have this potion? Give me a box. Realizing that the system's products must be top-notch, Zumu just asked in his heart. Ding. This potion and the Headmaster's Peak experience card are all rewards of the trainer gift package. There is no way to sell it. The system's answer is also very direct. You looked down on this system before and said that I was useless. Well, now you realize the power of this system? It's too late. Zumu curled his lips and said nothing more. He focused his eyes on Flame Chicken. At this time, Flame Chicken has gradually woken up. Slowly opening his eyes, Flame Chicken spoke with difficulty. Chamo, where is this? Where is Lao? Red Lizard, where are the eldest brother and others? Wait, I'm not dead? Flame Chicken's body gradually recovered, and he began to look around slowly. Then, he was horrified to find that he was still alive. Chamo, Zumu, you are Zumu. I'm not dead yet. What about Lao? And what about the red lizards? Are they all still alive? Struggling to get up, Flame Chicken grabbed Zumu and asked in a roar. Zumu was silent, facing Flame Chicken's question. He didn't say anything, just lowered his head. Chamo, Flame Chicken understood. Everyone was gone. Only he was still alive. He collapsed on the bed. Flame Chicken sat in a daze, tears in his eyes, couldn't stop flowing down. No sobbing, no wailing. He just shed tears silently. Men don't shed tears easily, but they just haven't reached the point of sadness. Flame Chicken never thought that one day, he would cry. This Flame Chicken, who always dared to rush to the front in battle, would actually shed tears. This guy who was not afraid of hardship or fatigue in training actually had a heart of a tough man with a soft heart. You guys are really leaving? You left just like that, leaving me alone? Lao, hey, come back. Didn't you say you would send us off first before you die? Red Lizard, how come you're gone too? If you leave, who will argue with me? I've never admitted that you were actually quite handsome when you were fighting. Chapter 253, New Partner. Flame Chicken, whispering softly. Flame Chicken raised his head and took a deep breath. Stinky Monkey, you still owe me 2 bottles of wine. Every time you drink, you become stronger than a bear, and your face turns redder than your butt. Old pig, you too. You are so fat and you don't want to lose weight. You always say that you should enjoy life while you can. Now you are really in paradise forever. Damn it, you can never come back. Ah, stinky rat, you too. I left some dried fruits for you. I was thinking of telling you when I go back these few days, but you can't eat them. Ah, why did I survive alone? I was the one who rushed to the front. Flame Chicken's emotions gradually collapsed. Zuzioxiao saw him squatting on the ground alone, without blinking, but tears kept flowing. He immediately waved his hand, signaling everyone to leave first. Let Zumu stay and take care of Flame Chicken. Old Zhao, you always told me that you want to die on the battlefield, saying that this is the best destination for an old guy like you who has fought all his life. He also said that after you are gone, Charizard will take his concubines back to Charizard Valley to be the king. Let me and the Stinky Monkey be fighters, and spar with others every day. He always told us how great our retirement life would be, but now it's all gone. Blaziken was immersed in sadness, and he recalled his past with Zhao bit by bit. As Zhao 3rd Pokémon, when Blaziken knew him, Zhao was still a child. At that time, they didn't know that they would become leaders on the battlefield in the future, and they didn't know that Zhao would become an invincible trainer. They just simply thought about becoming stronger, whether it was when Zhao and Zhao Yuanyang were competing for the position of the head of the family when they were young, or later on the battlefield when Zhao led an army. Blaziken followed his footsteps closely and never left. However, today, he fell behind. All the brothers died, leaving only Blaziken alone. Are you feeling better? After a long time, Flamel's tears had dried up. He squatted on the ground silently for more than an hour. He didn't make a sound the whole time, just silently crying. Chamo, I didn't cry, it's just that my eyes seemed to be hurt and I can't control it. Seeing Zumu speak, Flamel hurriedly wiped his tears and started to argue. Zumu didn't expose him, but just stepped forward, leaned against Flamel, and squatted beside the bed with him. The old principal has been by my side all these years, but I don't know his identity. Remember the time when I dropped out of school? It seemed like the first time I saw him. At that time, he looked at me a little strangely, Although I was confused, I thought he was surprised by my dropping out of school, so I didn't think much about it. Later, he asked me to go to his house to choose a Pokémon, Zumu said, and slowly laughed. I was thinking, why is this old principal so generous, giving me a fire-type starter Pokémon for no reason? Flamel also smiled when he heard it. Chamo, yes, you chose the boy that Red Lizard liked the most. His personality has caused you a lot of trouble, right? If we hadn't seen that boy grow up so quickly on TV later, we wouldn't have believed that he was Red Lizard's son. Zumu nodded. Yes, Charizard's personality is really interesting. When we first met, this guy killed his opponent instantly in the battle and caused 10th degree burns, which really surprised me. As he said that, Flame Chicken and Zumu smiled helplessly at the same time. Chamo, old Zhao's son and daughter died in the border battle. You are his only descendant. Over the years, he gave up his position and high position, and was willing to live in seclusion in a small city, silently guarding you and your son. I didn't expect that just when you had a little bit of success, Zumu took a breath and exhaled slowly to relieve the soreness of his nose. Don't feel sorry for old Zhao. He got what he wanted. In his life, he failed to save his offspring, and watched his son and daughter pass away one after another, and the old man sent the young one away. In fact, he had long lost the thought of living. If there was no kid like you left, Lao would have gone to fight Sakaki to death, Flame Chicken said, with a hint of tears in his voice. This time, Lao has no complaints about being able to fight to the last for you, and neither do we. Zumu, don't feel that you owe me anything. You must work hard to become stronger, and in the future, fulfill Lao's wish for him and send all the cancers of Team Rocket back to their other world. Zumu nodded heavily, and when he raised his head again, his face was already full of tears. Similarly, Flame Chicken's snot had already flowed to the corners of his mouth. The two grown men looked at each other with snot and tears, and hurriedly wiped them with the bedsheet. What are your plans for the future? Zumu wiped away his tears and asked. Flame Chicken calmed down, thought for a while, and said, Chamo, I don't know. I will send away those little guys in Lao's yard and some of the old friends. According to his meaning, find them a stable secret realm, live a good life, and do what they like. Okay, I'll go with you on this, Zumu said, stretching out his arm and holding Flame Chicken's shoulders. Tomorrow is the old principal's funeral. Watch your old brothers go with glory. Also let you see that the old principal's lifelong running and dedication are not meaningless. Flame Chicken didn't understand what Zumu meant. Zumu didn't explain. Tomorrow's funeral will definitely be the most grand funeral in the East in the past 10 years. At that time, let Flame Chicken also know how glorious and great his trainer is. Resisting foreign forces for decades, Dao Tanyang's achievements cannot be summarized in a simple sentence. Even Zhu Feng, the border killer, cannot be compared with Dao Tanyang's achievements. In the weakest years of the post-civilization world, it was Dao Tanyang who carried the banner of resistance. He was the main leader of the previous era. After dealing with the aftermath, what are your plans? Zumu asked Flame Chicken. Chamo, I'm not sure. I think I should continue to fight until I die. Like Lao, do you want to join me? Wait for me for 2 years. After 2 years, I will take a group of like-minded trainers to the border. By then, I will completely beat Team Rocket back to the Pokémon world, and then counterattack their hometown. Not only Team Rocket, but also various evil organizations. None of them can escape. As he said, Zumu stretched out his right hand and placed it in front of Flame Chicken. Chapter 254, Found You, Hunter Organization. Flame Chicken stared at Zumu in a daze. Perhaps, following this kid in front of him, waiting for him to grow up and fulfilling Lao's long-cherished wish, is also a good choice. Chamo, if that's the case, then I'm willing to help you, as long as you don't mind. Placing his hand on Zumu's hand, Flame Chicken and Zumu shook hands tightly. Okay, then it's a deal. Seeing that Flame Chicken's mood had improved a lot, Zumu pulled him up, leaving the operating room. Zumu was surprised to find that his father Zhu Feng released the warrior eagle, as if he was about to leave. What's wrong? Seeing this, Zumu hurried forward to ask. Zhu Feng said, my people found the secret realm where the Hunter organization is hiding. They offended Team Rocket a few years ago, so they had to withdraw from the other world and found a small secret realm to hide. Zumu was overjoyed when he heard this. Flame Chicken, let's go, we're going to live. Zufeng saw that Zumu was ready to go together, and did not stop him. Instead, Dayu stepped forward and warned, take good care of my son, you can get hurt, but you must bring my son back to me intact, and that hunter organization, if it's almost done, just destroy it directly, and don't keep it to worry about it. Dayu's tone of an ordinary person was really domineering. Zufeng nodded repeatedly, not daring to disobey his wife's orders. Did you hear that, little brat? Protect yourself for a while, and just watch your father perform. Zumu didn't dare to refute, so he could only nod. Okay, you are Zyur, you are the father, you are the best, okay. I will never run around, don't worry. Besides, there is Flame Chicken with me, it's not a big problem. The system can be late, but it will never be absent. Seeing that Zumu was about to make trouble again, the system directly gave the task. By the way, the attribute panel of Flame Chicken and the signed-in task were updated. Elf, Blaziken, attributes, fire, fighting, strength, master peak, features, speed up, speed increases by 1 level after each round of battle, skills, flame kick, overheat, big explosion, jet flame, sunlight flame, tile splitting, close combat, primal power, signed-in task, carry or use Blaziken to participate in a battle, Blaziken Mega Evolution Stone. Zumu looked at the signed-in task given by the system. He was speechless for a moment. Well, you can just give me a few instant recovery potions. I can't do this Mega Evolution Stone myself. It's really a Dogecoin. Ding. It is detected that the host is about to encounter a special event, and a special task is issued. Task: the first pain. This is the first time to participate in the elimination of an evil organization. The host cannot let go of any opponent and must ensure that the Elf Hunter organization is completely destroyed. Task reward: a legendary flame-eared fox. Zumu was stunned. Reward an elf? This is the first time since asking for leave. System: why reward the flame-eared fox? Give me a meow with full qualifications. Isn't it good? Zumu was puzzled. The system might be in a good mood this time, and explained generously. Ding. Host, please don't say too much. When you should know, you will naturally know. Warm reminder, please pay attention to the underground prison of the Hunter organization. Zumu didn't understand. What's the difference between the system explaining and not saying? When I should know, I will naturally know. Good guy, you are really a considerate and good system. With a cold snort, Zumu decided not to pay attention to this guy anymore. Calling out Lugia, Zumu flew away with his cheap dad. The small secret realm where the Hunter organization hides also descended in the post-civilization era. In the elf world, there is no such thing as a secret realm, but for some unknown reason, some places in the elf world will inexplicably become secret realms and descend into the post-civilization world where Zumu is. This is related to the first pitfall of this book, the origin of the secret realm. Those who are interested can guess, and the prophet who guesses correctly can get the author's backstop. This is it. After flying for more than 10 minutes, Zufeng stopped outside a secret passage in Western Europe. Zumu took a deep breath, looked at the flame chicken next to him, and nodded at the same time after looking at each other. Come on, it's time to do something big. Larilas, don't be afraid for a while. Zumu did not abandon Larilas. The little guy is still a little autistic and doesn't want to leave Zumu. Anyway, Hoopa has been following him invisibly, so Zumu didn't pay much attention to this safety issue. Just kidding, if Zufeng is around, Zumu can still be in danger. That would be really finished. Lalu, Zumu, don't worry, Larilas is the strongest. Who is it? After entering the secret realm, Zufeng directly took Zumu to fly over the surface cover and rushed straight into the elf hunter's nest from a cave. Seeing this, the guard at the door hurriedly shouted, "Who is it?" "The one who wants to kill you." Without using Greninja and Cat Boss, Warrior Eagle directly killed the guard with an air slash. The opponent did not even have time to release the elf, and regretfully fell in a pool of blood. Let's go. The killing begins. Jumping off the back of Warrior Eagle, Zhu Feng showed a sneer at the corner of his mouth. The murderous aura was almost solidified around him, and Zhu Mu was stunned. Damn, how many people do you have to kill to have this almost solid murderous aura? The former god of killing Beiqi was no more than this, right? Chamo, this Zhu Feng really didn't disappoint me. His murderous aura is no less than that of old Zhao. Of course, how can I let Senior Zhao be disappointed in me? Zhu Feng spoke calmly after hearing what Flame Chicken said. As for the question of whether he can understand the language of the elves, calm down. After all, he is also a member of the Zhu family. Isn't it right to have some special abilities? It's wrong if you don't have them. Rushing into the secret realm, Zhu Feng led his 6 main elves and started a brutal massacre. Flammel and Zhu Mu's Lugia were responsible for the perimeter alert to prevent the lone opponents from running away. Zhu Feng was responsible for killing Cat Boss, Greninja, Warrior Eagle. These 3 guys don't have special forms, which means they are not the top combat force under Daddy. It was the first time that Zhu Mu saw Zhu Feng's entire elf lineup. In addition to the 3 mentioned above, there are also Lashes, Latios, and Nightmare God. Zhu Mu looked at his father and swallowed his saliva. He was not surprised by these 3 beasts. The main thing was that he didn't expect that the mysterious man whose identity had been speculated in the 4th generation, that is, the Diamond and Pearl anime, the guy who robbed the silly thing of the championship, turned out to be his own father? I've never seen such a thing in my life. Chapter 255, Selena in Prison. The second female lead appears, and the whole audience stands up and cheers. Looking at Darkrai's dark back, Zhu Mu's heart was shocked. Dad, you have hidden your identity very well. Do you know what netizens have compiled about you? Some people say that your elf lineup, except for the 2 mythical beasts that show their faces, the rest are all Magikarp. Others say that you were sent by the crew to organize stupid things. In short, there is nothing wrong with your impulsiveness, but you left a pit that is hard to describe for netizens. Even the animation crew can't fill this pit. You have to rely on me to fill the pit, right? Hee. There is nothing to describe the scene of the massacre. 1 word, cruel. 2 words, bloody. 3 words, you guys take. Zhu Feng's efficiency is very fast, without a formed resistance. The hunter organization is almost like fish on the chopping board, and is slaughtered by Zhu Feng at will. Oh my god, I've already escaped, but you chased me back home. How bad? When Zhu Feng met Hunter Z, who had escaped by chance, he had to bend down in submission and began to vomit his breakfast. A grown man, wearing tight pants, with a sissy tone and expression. Damn it. Just kill me. My eyes are going blind. Meow. Darkrai, I leave it to you. Aren't you an expert at killing girls? On the side, the cat boss couldn't stand it anymore, so he simply ran away and changed his opponent. Seeing that the cat boss was so humble, Darkrai hurriedly said, "Don't worry, big brother, we can't handle this thing. I'm a girl killer, but the problem is that this guy is not a girl. Forget it. Forget it. I give up. Let Greninja do it. This guy has no bottom line." To be honest, facing Hunter Z, as long as it is a male creature, it really can't handle it. This guy's disgusting power and the power of his elves are definitely more lethal than a supreme level elf. Upon hearing this, Greninja, Zhu Feng's, ran over. Cool. Fuck, what kind of species is this? It should be said that even Greninja has to admit that Hunter Z is capable. The main thing is that this guy is not only problematic himself, but also his elves, the bitchy beautiful flower, the extremely narcissistic sister lip, and the Yandir big mouth baby. In short, facing Hunter Z, Zhu Feng's elves were collectively depressed. Chamo, you actually ran away. But God has eyes. Let me catch you here. Flame Chicken doesn't care about these. When enemies meet, they are particularly jealous. Zhao Yang was besieged by this abnormal guy at the beginning. Flame Chicken can forget others, but he will never forget Hunter Z, because when Zhao Yang vomited at the beginning, he almost jumped on the misophobic Flame Chicken. Chamo, Zhu Mu, let me do it myself this time. It's not that Flame Chicken doesn't trust Zhu Mu's command. Zhao Yang has been paying attention to Zhu Mu's growth overtly and covertly for such a long time. Flame Chicken has also seen Zhu Mu's games and battles. He believes that Zhu Mu can make him play better. Although he is not as good as Zhao Yang, he will not be too bad. But this time, He hopes to do it himself. It's not that he is disobedient, but he just wants to vent his anger for Tan Yang and himself. Okay, be careful. Zumu is not a male chauvinist. Pokémon listen to the trainer's command, that is in battle. This does not mean that Pokémon are your personal property or tools. There are many people who have always regarded Pokémon as a toy or private property. I still remember that when Zumu received the Greninja from his father, the funniest sentence the author has ever heard was, "Pokémon that you didn't raise yourself can't be used, otherwise they will rebel." Fuck you, rub your legs. There is also an initial level to capture Pokémon in the game. Don't you use Pokémon that are not hatched from eggs? Besides, the reason why the initial Ls are king level elves is that I believe all the readers who have read this have an idea in their minds. This is not a simple time travel, and Zumu's background is not an ordinary background either. The system, this golden finger, is more like the icing on the cake. Without him, Zumu is still awesome, but the system also has the same arrangement as the systems of other novel protagonists. What about the adventure in the hatching house, picking up leeks and awesome elves, etc.? Aren't you tired of these cookie-cutter plots? With such an innovative beginning, some people actually criticized it for plagiarism. I really admire it. Ahem. I'm a little angry about being criticized recently. I hope everyone understands. Don't say it's water. My free novel does not ask for gifts, no votes, no need to open a single chapter to communicate with everyone. Seeing Flame Chicken stand up to confront Hunter Z, Zufeng and his elves finally breathed a sigh of relief. Hunter Z's strength is indeed very strong, however, Flame Chicken has the blessing of anger buff. Just like the Saiyans, the arrogant Flame Chicken will improve its combat effectiveness every time it is injured in battle. In addition, due to the rage of revenge, Flame Chicken awakened the talent of Fierce Fire without any instruction. When fighting, it is twice the result with half the effort. Seeing Flame Chicken beating up Hunter Z's Pokémon, Zumu was relieved. He told Hoopa to keep an eye on it and went to the prison of the Hunter organization. The system said there is something fishy here. Then I want to see what the fishy is. When they came to the dark prison, some violent Pokémon were imprisoned here. Hearing the footsteps, the roars of these Pokémons who lost their minds came one after another, which startled Zumu. Oh my goodness, this is not a prison, this is hell. These Pokémons have almost lost their minds due to various means of abuse by the Hunter organization, and they can hardly communicate normally. They are the losers of training. After the Hunter organization captures rare Pokémon, they will train and brainwash them. The obedient ones can be sold for a good price. The disobedient ones will become experimental materials. If they were not so rare, they would not even be qualified to be imprisoned and would be directly humanely destroyed. In the deepest part of the prison, Zumu caught a glimpse of a smaller figure with long golden hair, which attracted Zumu's attention. Is there anyone else? Surprised, Zumu hurriedly walked in to check the situation. Upon seeing this, Zumu was stunned. WC, Serena. Hearing someone calling her name, Serena, who was curled up in the corner of the cell with her legs hugged, slowly raised her head. She looked at Zumu blankly and helplessly, a pair of cute big eyes, full of tears. However, even so, she still held back her tears and said, "Bad guy, give up. I won't reveal any information about the doctor." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 256, Little Follower Serena. Zumu was stunned, looking at Serena pretending to be strong. He had mixed feelings. Sure enough, Serena with long hair was the most beautiful, even though she was dirty all over, even though she was only a 10-year-old girl, even though, I can't go down, otherwise something will happen. Zumu said that in his previous life, his favorite female character, besides Serena, was definitely Serena. As the official queen of Silly Thing, Zumu's feelings for Serena were like a daughter. Silly Thing, the child that Zumu watched grow up, finally had a home. This made Zumu, an old father, full of comfort and blessings. In the first generation, when Serena was not yet there, Kana was called the iceberg goddess. Countless fans are crazy about it. According to statistics, Kana's popularity index has surpassed the heroine Zioxia. As for the heroines of each generation, Zumyu likes the violent Zioxia and the lively Zioyao. He prefers the lady Xiaoguang and the wild child Longmai. But no matter who it is, it can't compare to the status of Serena in Zumyu's heart. Just like an old man looking at his daughter-in-law, Zumyu's love for Serena is not mixed with a trace of sexual impulse. Pure love. Every time Zumyu sees a video of Serena kissing a silly thing, he will habitually smile like an uncle, so relieved. But now, this daughter-in-law is actually locked up in prison, and judging from the situation, it seems that she has suffered a lot. Zumyu couldn't stand it at the time. Locking up my daughter-in-law. How can I tolerate this? Don't be afraid. I'm here to save you, Serena, Zumyu said, and hurriedly asked Greninja to blast open the door lock and rush into the cell. Taking off his coat, Zumyu put it on Serena, who was wearing a dirty short-sleeved shirt. He looked at the little girl with heartache and said, I am not sent by the doctor you mentioned. I won't ask about his affairs, and you don't have to tell me. Logically speaking, I am from another world, and the current situation is that you can't go back. We don't have a way to return to your world yet, so you can only stay here temporarily. I will send you back when I have a chance in the future. But you don't have to be afraid. My girlfriend and you are from the same world. Your hair color is the same. You will feel relieved when you see her. Now, if you understand, tell me how old you are this year and how many days you have been locked up. Zumyu searched for instant food in his backpack while comforting Serena at a fast speed. Yes, after hearing what Zumyu said, the daughter-in-law knew that he was not one of those bad guys, so she felt relieved. Nodding obediently, Serena said, I will be 10 years old tomorrow. I was visiting the doctor's experiment and was captured by them. I have been here for 2 days. They seem to have something to do and didn't have time to take care of me. They just locked me up here. Woo, there are so many fear cells here. They are yelling and screaming every day. I am so scared. As she spoke, Serena still couldn't control her emotions. She burst into tears, and the image of a strong little lady collapsed on the spot. After all, she is a child, just 10 years old. Zumyu hugged his daughter-in-law distressedly, patted her back gently, and comforted her. Okay, we will leave soon. You must be hungry these 2 days. Eat something first. When we go back later, I will make you something delicious. Have a good meal, Zumyu said, putting the instant food in Serena's arms and opening a bottle of water at the same time. Well, thank you, Uncle. Uncle? Zumyu was dumbfounded. Don't think that I won't be mean to you just because you're Serena. I'm handsome, elegant, and everyone loves me. You call me an uncle? My name is Zumyu. Not an uncle. Well, okay, Uncle Zumyu. Zumyu finally understood the helplessness of Greninja, who often said that he was not a frog. He's only 16. Only 6 years older than you. If it weren't for Serena, I would have been willing to wait for you for 6 years. How dare you call me an uncle? Forget it. Eat slowly, drink some water, and fill your stomach. This fast food has no nutrition. Who told you to be Serena? Who told you to be the daughter-in-law? So you're an uncle. Zumyu, endured it. Serena burped cutely, and hurriedly picked up the water and gulped it down. At this moment, her image in Zumyu's heart completely collapsed. What a lady. Fuck the lady. Serena is obviously so cute. Children, that's how they are cute. Uncle, thank you. After finishing a small bag of food, Serena's face was red. Obviously, she, who has received a good education since childhood, also knows that her behavior just now is not ladylike. Okay, don't be polite to me. Who makes you my child? Zumyu hurriedly shut up, almost letting it slip. I was wondering how the system rewarded the flame-eared fox. It seems that it replaced the one in Serena's anime. What a cunning system. But I like it. For such tasks in the future, remember to say it in advance. I have a psychological preparation. Taking Serena out of the prison, Zufeng also dealt with all the members of the Hunter organization. Seeing Zumyu walking around for an unknown place, he brought out a cute little girl with yellow hair. Zufeng was stunned. He didn't know how to start. Should he ask, "Where did you find this little girl?" Or should he tell her, "Be careful, the child is still young," or pretend to be a good brother and joke, So you like yellow hair? Dad was dumbfounded. I'd better pretend I don't know. Ahem. Let's go back. Seeing Zhu Feng covering his face with a hat, Zhu Mu knew that his father must have misunderstood. No, I met Serena in the prison of the Hunter organization. Don't. Zhu Mu didn't know how he should explain it, as if he was just quibbling no matter what he said. Pretending not to care, Zhu Feng ignored Zhu Mu. Serena? It's a good name. Both have the word na. You know the name so quickly. You are worthy of being my son. So Xing, secretly giving Zhu Mu a thumbs up in his heart, Zhu Feng stopped talking, took back the elves and came to the back of the War Feather Eagle. After returning to the Alliance Center in silence, Zhu Mu led the timid Serena to Shirona under everyone's gaze. Now you are worthy of being my son. Zhu Zioxiao, great, our Zhu family is finally going to branch out, but this little girl is a little young, so we have to wait for 2 years. Now Yang, good grandson, you have the style of me in my old age. Shirona, what should I do? Chapter 257, Selena's first meeting with Serena. Hello, sister, my name is Serena. The little girl stepped forward timidly and greeted Serena carefully. No need to ask, her action must have been arranged by Zhu Mu. On the way here, Zhu Mu also told her that Serena was the uncle's girlfriend. When you get there, talk to Serena first. As long as Serena doesn't say much, no one will think too much. That's it. Full emotional intelligence. Wait, why am I an uncle and Serena is a sister? Zhu Mu looked at Serena with a nervous face and was completely dumbfounded. My dear daughter-in-law, it's not right for you to call me like that. Forget it. Who told you to be cute? You can call me anything. I remember that when I watched anime in my previous life, Zhu Mu's favorite scene was the shy scene of Serena. Every time he saw this girl's blushing cheeks, Zhu Mu couldn't help but smile. The same is true this time. Hello, Serena. Serena is not a stingy woman. She can tolerate Zhu Mu's conquest of Larilas, and she can tolerate this cute little sister even more. Not to mention that this little sister has the same hair color as her. Absolutely close relatives. Naturally close, with a good impression buff. With the approval of Serena, Zhu Mu was relieved. No big problem. No big problem, as long as Serena is not angry. No. How could Serena be jealous of such an excellent girlfriend? Those who are jealous are ordinary women. Well, my Serena will not be jealous. Thinking of this, Zhu Mu couldn't help but start to be proud. See, there is nothing you can do about having a good vision. You can't find such an excellent girlfriend even if you search with a lantern. Ha ha ha. There is no use in envy. Looking at his father proudly, Zhu Mu's little pride is written on his face. Serena saw that Serena was dirty. Just like Zhu Mu, she hurriedly said, "Why don't we go back first and wash up?" What she said hit the point. Zhu Mu was covered in blood and had not had time to wash yet. Okay, then we'll take Serena back first. Mom and Dad, if you don't have a place to live, you can come to our place. Zhu Mu and Serena live in a property owned by Kyle here. No need to ask. Of course it's a villa. Zhu Mu wanted to show off to his dad again, but he miscalculated. Who is his dad? Zhu Feng, the current head of the Zhu family and the legitimate heir. Are you kidding? Would he lack a house to live in? Forget it. We won't bother you two young people. You. Let's go back first, and let your father-in-law take care of the things here. It's just right that I'll take you to see the manor worth 1.5 billion that I won from the rich second generation of the Zhao family when I was young. As he said that, Zhu Feng finally laughed. Boy, keep going crazy. Remember, when the time comes, who is the father and who is the son, you have to tell them apart. When it comes to pretending to be cool, your dad has never lost. I was also an old dandy back then. Back home, Zhu Mu went into the bathroom to take a shower. Ding! Congratulations to the host, successfully collecting the Son of Luck. Serena intimacy rewards are open. First reward, the host task. First pain completion reward, a legendary flaming fox. Then Serena collection reward. Koga Greninja's combat power is increased to the early stage of the master. Serena intimacy progress reward, 10%. Charizard's combat power is increased to the early stage of the master. 50%. Dragonite's combat power is increased to the early stage of the master. 80%. Leaf King's combat power is increased to the early stage of the master. 100%. Reward the host with a perfect little tail. A little baby Serena. Zumu was convinced. This is a book with a single female protagonist. Serena is my daughter-in-law. What's the matter? You are asking me to compete with the fool for my wife. Don't tell me whether I will do it or not. Even if I agree, the fool can't agree. Also, the fool has a short circuit in his brain and thinks that women will affect his speed of drawing the sword, so he decided to give his wife to me. Then Serena can't agree. Forget it. System, don't be too ruthless, or your host may die young. Ding. Host, please put away your dirty thoughts. The system is just saying that a little follower is driving. Please pay attention to the speed of the car. Drive safely and have a happy family. Zumu. After taking a shower, Zumu changed into a new set of clothes. As for Selena, as a caring elder sister, Serena has arranged for someone to buy her clothes and toiletries. After all, this girl and she come from the same world, and she has no ties or no one to rely on. So pitiful. She naturally has to take good care of Selena. Are you all hungry? How about I go cook? Zumu walked out of the room with a mean look, and saw Serena combing her daughter-in-law's hair. He smiled at her uncle with relief. I love it so much. This scene is so harmonious, so sweet. If these two girls were mine. Cough cough. I can't think about it anymore. Zumu felt that he was constantly testing the line of the scumbag. After a while, oh, I came in. After a while, oh, I jumped out again. It made me in a dilemma. However, as a human being, there should be some bottom line. Since Serena is willing to believe Zumu and give everything to him, Zumu will naturally not let Serena be sad or disappointed. People have a heart of flesh. You can think about it, but you can't do anything out of the ordinary. The law is long and there is no loophole. It's not that there is no report, but the time has not come. I can't say it anymore, or I will be reported again. Woo woo woo. The author is so difficult. I really didn't hint at anyone. I just wrote it out of my feelings. No need. Let's go out to eat later, just as a welcome to Selena to join us. Serena raised her little face and looked at Zumu with a smile. Not good. Let's not go out today. Zumu felt that what Serena said was right, but thinking of Zhao Tanyang who had just left, he gave up the idea of going out to eat. By the way, Serena, have you not received your initial Pokémon yet? Zumu suddenly thought of Flame Fox and asked. Yes, uncle, I'm only 10 years old tomorrow. Seeing that Serena's emotions had been calmed down by Serena and that she could talk to him with a smile, Zumu was relieved. Well, uncle will give you a small surprise tomorrow. After saying that, Zumu went back to the kitchen and started cooking with Alakazam and Ganger. As usual, Zumu was in charge of the food, and the two of them were in charge of the Pokémon team's food. By the way, don't forget, you two, Blaziken likes spicy food, and Flame Fox likes sweet food. Who? Got it. Jen, I don't want to cook anymore. Boo tilde. Chapter 258 Hero's Funeral. A Night of Silence. The next morning, Zumu got up early, packed up, and hurried to the largest venue in the entire East, Goen Square. Here, today, there will be tens of thousands of trainers above the king level. Come here together to see Zhao Tanyang off. Yesterday, my brother Zhao Tanyang fought against the Hunter organization in the newly arrived secret realm, the mysterious realm of the sea god. Unfortunately, the other side outnumbered him and he died in the secret realm. But, despite his sacrifice, my brother never retreated a single step. He used his life to delay the arrival of the Alliance reinforcements for 10 minutes. Over the past 50 years, my brother's achievements and contributions to the East and the entire world have been witnessed by all of you, and I will not go into details one by one, because I know that what he wants to hear is not praise, not appreciation, and certainly not hypocritical praise. What he wants is to be down to earth and to truly serve the people. We are strong people. Those of you who are qualified to attend the funeral today, your strength is at least above the level of a heavenly king. Many of you may have been geniuses who have no worries about food and clothing since childhood and are the center of attention. Many of you may have never suffered or been wronged. Many of you may have never considered what my brother often means by keeping your feet on the ground and working hard. Oh, today, I will take my brother's place and chat with you. Dao Yuanyang stood on the stage, full of vigor and vitality, without the slightest sign of old age. Nor was he weak and powerless due to excessive grief. He still stood straight and sounded powerful. This was the chief of the East. Anyone could fall down, but he couldn't. Anyone could rest, but he couldn't. Without the battles on the border, there would be no harmonious life today. You think you have no worries about food and clothing, and this is the blessing your parents have earned for you. That's right, indeed. If your parents don't work hard, then you won't have a good life. If your parents work hard all their lives, but don't even have the right to let their children live a happy life, that's not fair, right? So, I never discriminate against the second generation of rich people, and I don't treat you differently just because most of you come from wealthy families. No, but I want to tell you, your happy life is indeed the result of your parents' hard work. It's true. But if there were no soldiers on the border, if there were no bloody fights, where would happiness come from? Where would peace come from? Someone said that good iron doesn't make nails, and good men don't join the army. That's bullshit. Without the fighting on the border, without people silently working hard, how could you get by now? What qualifications do you have to criticize those who are fighting bloody battles? I'm not brainwashing you, nor am I feeding you chicken soup. These are the correct three views. You can choose not to go to the battlefield, and you can work in all walks of life, but you can't look down on those who silently contribute and protect you behind the scenes. There has never been real peace in the world. The happiness and tranquility in front of you is because someone is carrying the burden for you. Liu Yang said, slapping the table excitedly. He never advocated making the border war public. He never forced any trainer to go to the border to fight. Just like in the world's high-level martial arts, no one urged student warriors to join the war. The old people felt that their shoulders could still bear it. They wanted to give more time to the children and young people. However, the cruel reality and the continuous advent of the secret realm are forcing this silently contributing old man. Their shoulders can withstand decades, but not hundreds of years. I don't mean anything else. I just want to announce a decision. That is, starting tomorrow, all actions of this alliance against the Pokémon organization will be open to civilians. Starting today, from this moment, whether it is the East or Western Europe, we are fully prepared for war. Our enemies are not just the rocket team on the border. There are also those evil organizations from various small secret realms. Pass my order. Starting today, all trainers entering the secret realm must be at least intermediate trainers. Order the garrisons of secret realms in various places to double their numbers and recruit soldiers on a large scale all over the world. After the garrisons have sorted out their armaments, they will enter the garrisoned secret realms as soon as possible to explore intelligence. If they find anything strange, report it as soon as possible. Some special secret realms do not need to be checked. At that time, I will issue a written order. In addition, before, you could not enter the border unless you were a king of heaven. Now it has been changed. Starting today, the requirements for the border have been lowered to elite trainers. Over there, they can't bear it. Liu Yang's last words made everyone burst into tears instantly. After decades of carrying heavy burdens, everyone present had a deep understanding. Among their 10,000 top trainers, some have been to the border battlefield and witnessed the horror of Team Rocket and the killings. Some people come from big families. Although they have never been to the battlefield, most of their fathers have fought in the battlefield. They have a general idea of what is happening at the border. It turns out that if Liu Yang hadn't said it, everyone still didn't know much about the situation at the border. After so many years of fighting, everyone has gotten used to it. No one complained, so naturally no one paid attention. The border is now relying on Zhu Feng alone, and it is indeed a bit overwhelmed. No matter how strong he is just one person after all. Team Rocket may have taken advantage of the Elf Alliance in the Elf world again. Now they have increased their offensive against the border. To be honest, Zhu Feng came back this time. In addition to avenging Zumu and bullying Kyle, the main purpose is to find Liu Yang to study whether more people should be sent to the border. Zumu stood aside, staring blankly at Liu Yang's wrinkled but unusually resolute face. Is this old man his grandfather? Is he the chief of the East? 2A. Blazing Chicken. How is it? Is this match worthy of the old principal? Patting Blaziken on the back, Zumu asked. Chamo, old Zhao doesn't like such a big show. But he also hopes that there will be many people around him. He either likes to join in the fun, or he is beaten by others on the battlefield. Old Zhao feels wronged. He doesn't say it, but always bears it himself. We all know that the reason why we were able to resist for so long at the border was that old Zhao risked his life to lead us to fight together. Zumu, you promised that when you are strong enough, we will go to the border and make Team Rocket tremble with fear. Chapter 259. I'll give you a small gift. Okay. Zumu clenched his fists, let out a long breath, and answered with a firm look in his eyes. Ding. The Flame Chicken sign-in mission is completed, and the host is rewarded with a Flame Chicken Mega Evolution Stone. Ding. Flame Chicken sign-in mission update. Please lead the Flame Chicken to the border to participate in a battle within 3 years. Kill. Flame birds pay homage to the phoenix. Zumu felt that this seemed to be the first time that the dog system became serious. I have been very busy these days. Because of Zhao Danyang's sacrifice, Zumu, as the only junior in the family, has to wear mourning for Zhao Danyang. Moreover, in addition to Zhao Danyang's affairs, the impact of this action organized by the Hunter organization is also very huge. There is actually technology that can travel through space in the other world. Not only that, the strength of these evil organizations is so huge. With Liu Yang's permission, the whole people know about the war. For a time, everyone in the East and Western Europe was in danger. This post-civilization world has not been in contact with elves for a long time. The previous war with Team Rocket was a last resort, and it was necessary to put all the combat power on it. Now there are these new evil organizations. It's really one wave after another. Because of Liu Yang's words and the subsequent conscription, Zumu's glorious deeds against the elf hunters this time were also regarded as advanced models and promoted all over the world. Interviews and other big and small things. Zumu was busy all the time. Just after recording a program on TV, Zumu hurried back to his residence. Oh, you started eating ice cream without dinner. Have you forgotten what day it was these 2 days? Aren't you afraid of stomachache? Sure enough, this stupid girl. I didn't come back, and I didn't even know to order takeout. When Shirona saw Zumu standing at the door, she smiled sweetly, holding a spoon in her mouth, and said happily, "Don't be afraid. With you, I'm not afraid of anything." Zumu changed into slippers and went to the bathroom to wash his hands. The key point is that the first thing to do when you go home is to wash your hands. It is your responsibility to protect personal hygiene and prevent the epidemic. Okay, I'm not afraid. After washing his hands, Zumu came to Sirona, smiled and spoke, while taking the ice cream from Sirona's arms. "Don't eat this first. I'll go cook for you." As he said, Zumu signaled Hoopa to call out Gengar and Alakazam. The food for the elves is the responsibility of these two guys. I just need to be responsible for the cute Sirona. Oh, seeing that the ice cream was still taken away by Zumu, Sirona puffed up her little face and pouted. She looked like an unhappy baby. Seeing this, Zumu took a light bite on Sirona's little face. "Okay, don't pout. You will get wrinkles. It just so happens that I have a small gift for you. If you accept my gift, you will be happy, okay?" Sirona was a little curious. The ring she bought with Zumu last time was the first time Zumu gave her something. Although it was still Sirona who paid the bill, it didn't matter. "What gift?" Zumu shook his head and said with a smile, "Close your eyes." Sirona didn't understand and closed her eyes obediently. Although she didn't know what tricks Zumu was playing, she would definitely not cheat herself. "Okay, take a look." Taking out 2 small boxes from his arms, Zumu told Sirona that she could open her eyes. Sirona opened her eyes obediently and looked at the 2 exquisite boxes in Zumu's hands. He took one and opened it. Inside was a Mega Evolution Stone. "What is this?" Sirona looked at Zumu and opened another box, which also contained a Mega Evolution Stone. "This is the Mega Evolution Stone of Garchomp and Absol. I got it by chance 2 days ago. I didn't have time to give it to you. I just happened to buy 2 small boxes on the way. How about it? Do you like it?" Zumu said, his eyes full of affection. Life does need a sense of ritual, but most boys don't care about things like a sense of ritual. When they really care, maybe they really like and love. Because girls like something, they will take the initiative to try to like it. Of course, except for some old men who want to deceive young girls, the sense of ritual is too fake, without sincerity and true feelings. It is just a simple formal idea, which only enters the body but not life. Yeah. Sirona nodded heavily, and put the 2 evolution stones back into the small box with love. When the round-lent shark evolves and when the intimacy between Absol and me is enough, I will give these 2 evolution stones to them. Sirona said excitedly, without any guilt about giving the things that Zumu gave to her to the elves. Sometimes, you can say that Sirona is a little girl, an underage version of the Battle Queen, but you have to admit that what Sirona cares about and likes most, besides fighting, is ice cream. Of course, now we have to add Zumu. Zumu also doesn't think there is anything wrong with Sirona saying this. This is a girl with a big nerve, a straightforward temper, and she won't beat around the bush. It is precisely because of this that Zumu likes her so much. Okay, watch TV for a while. I'll call you when I make something delicious. Don't eat ice cream secretly anymore, Zumu said, putting the ice cream in the refrigerator and turning to the kitchen. Sirona nodded obediently, looking at the refrigerator with her big eyes, but she thought of the delicious food Zumu made and that she had her period these 2 days, so she gave up the idea of continuing to eat ice cream. Hoopa, where did you go to play yesterday? Zumu came to the kitchen and saw Hoopa messing with the busy Alakazam and Gengar, and asked with a smile. Hoopa went to find Mew. Mew was playing games and met that Eevee again. Hoopa helped Mew to fight Zumu. Mew couldn't scold him, and he couldn't type as fast as Eevee, so he asked Hoopa to help him. Okay, you guys are playing, but be careful and don't lose your temper easily. Zumu thought about it and decided to remind Hoopa, this king of pesticides is definitely a destroyer of good mood. 2 games at night when you have nothing to do will definitely make you unhappy for the whole day. Hoopa, don't worry, Zumu, we are just playing around. You have a lot of money in your card, so we bought dozens of expensive 10 accounts and changed them to play, otherwise we would always be blocked. Zumu, is it because you are too bad and often reported that you need to buy so many accounts? Wait, expensive 10? Hoopa, my bank card, is it often prompted that the account balance is insufficient now? Zumu asked tremblingly. Zumu, you know, Hoopa doesn't know what's going on. I thought it was the network card. Every time I want to buy skins, it prompts that Hoopa's account balance is insufficient. Help Hoopa, how should this thing be handled? Zumu, can I say, I don't want to help you? Looking up to the sky and howling, Zumu finally bowed to Hoopa. He transferred 1 billion from Sirona's card and put it into his own bank card for Hoopa to spend. As for why Zumu surrendered, nonsense. Charizard's medical expenses will also be deducted from the card. If I don't top up the money, what will happen if Charizard is detained in the hospital in the future? Chapter 260, Serena's education problem. Uncle, what delicious food are you making? Just when Zumu and Hoopa were communicating, Serena's little head suddenly popped into the kitchen. As the saying goes, to conquer a woman, you must first conquer her stomach. Although Zumu has been busy these days, he occasionally shows off his cooking skills, and the effect is also great. Sirona is an early captive. Selena was recently conquered by Zumu's cooking skills. Now if she doesn't eat the food arranged by Zumu for a day, she will feel uncomfortable all over. Zumu also said nonsense, pointed to the eggs next to him, and said, Amorous. Upon hearing this, Serena's 2 big eyes lit up directly. Okay, thank you for your hard work, Uncle. Selena, who has a good upbringing, never forgets the well-digger when drinking water, and thanked him obediently. No driving, what are you thanking for? Go play first. It happens that Hoopa just cheated a lot of money from me. You go play games with him. I'll call you when the meal is ready. Hoopa looked at Zumu blankly. He didn't mind playing games with Serena. After these few days of contact with the little girl, he has developed a good impression of this lovely little lady. But, what did Zumu say? He cheated him out of a large sum of money? Something is wrong. Wasn't this money transferred from Serena's account? Don't you think Hoopa doesn't know? Hoopa. Zumu is not a good guy. Puffing his mouth, Hoopa turned and floated away, and ran to the side to play games with Serena. He decided that within half an hour, he would never pay attention to Zumu. If he paid attention to Zumu, he would lose, except for eating. Hoopa's food requirements are almost zero, and he rarely needs to eat, but he has a special liking for the food made by Zoomu. There is almost no resistance. Flame-eared fox, let's go. Let's play games together. 4. Received. The flame-eared fox may be the initial elf arranged by the system for Serena. This little thing is not close to Zoomu, but it is definitely a match made in heaven with Serena. Zoomu gave her to Serena as the starting Pokémon, which made the little girl really happy. On the same day, the favorability of the Pokémon increased to 80%, allowing Zoomu's King of Leaf, Dragonite, and Charizard to be directly upgraded to the early stage of the leader. This is definitely a big improvement. Originally, Lugia had just inherited the inheritance of the Sea God, and his strength was upgraded to Master, becoming the first in the team. He didn't have time to be happy for 2 days. He was overshadowed by Pokémon such as Greninja. As for Blaziken, that was an exception and belonged to ordinary non-staff personnel. Now the configuration of Zoomu's team is as follows. The Infinite Tana, who is far away in Orion Star, is about the peak of the Supreme. After the Infinite Gigantamax, he will become a demigod. The little Hoopa, who is invisible every day, is about the early stage of the Supreme. After Liberation, he will be the peak of the Supreme. There are 2 cooking tool Pokémon around Hoopa, Alakazam Ganger, whose strength is average and not worth mentioning. The Blaziken from Zhotanyang is at the peak of the leader and has not yet undergone Mega Evolution. After that, there are the 4 Great Kings, Greninja, Charizard, Dragonite, and the King of Leaf, all of whom are at the early stage of the leader. The next 5 are Snorlax, Arceus, Lugia, Bulbasaur, and Ralts. In terms of strength, Snorlax and Bulbasaur should have the biggest improvement in the short term. As for Arceus and Lugia, I'm sorry, the mythical beasts are usually mounts in Zoomu's team. Ralts is in a special state, and it is currently unable to balance the power of destruction and superpowers. I'm afraid there will be a story in the future. No need for you to guess, I'll just point it out. It just so happens that the little girl's autism has not been alleviated too well, and Zoomu is happy to let her have some free time and be his little follower. Anyway, Ralts is not heavy. It's okay to sit on your shoulders, even if it's heavy. Zoomu is willing. After all, Ralts is so cute, let alone put it on your shoulders, even if Zoomu puts it in his heart. After dinner, Zoomu saw Serena, Hoopa and other elves running to the side to play games, so he came to Sirona. Baby, I'm going to get in for a while. Zoomu leaned on Sirona's legs with his face up, smiling. Sirona was stunned when he heard it. What's wrong? She put her hand on Zoomu's forehead and looked at Zoomu in confusion. Are you sick? When did it happen? Are you too busy these days? Seeing Sirona's serious expression, Zoomu couldn't bear to tease her anymore. He hurriedly said, why don't you ask me what kind of four I'm getting? After Zoomu said this, Sirona also realized that she was too anxious. After a low hum, Sirona said again, what kind of four do you want? Zoomu smiled, straightened up, and whispered to Sirona's ear, I'm Mizranite. Wow, good guy. This little love talk was messed up by Sirona on the spot. Seeing Zoomu's smirk, Sirona, with a slightly red face, patted her shoulder gently. This is also the way a shy girl acts, like a spoiled child. Who would have thought that the strongest female champion of Arsena would also have such a shy little woman side? Okay, stop making trouble. I want to discuss Serena's problem with you. After teasing his cute girlfriend, Zoomu felt very happy. After the two of them had a fight, Zoomu talked about serious matters, that is, Serena's education. Yes, she is still so young, and she can't always follow us like this. The school is still on vacation now. When school starts again, she should also receive some education. Also, we have to go to school later, and we can't always take her with us like this. Sirona talked about serious matters and quickly became serious. Zoomu nodded. That's what he meant. No matter what the rules are in the elf world. But Serena is definitely a child now. If she doesn't accept education and doesn't study hard, she will suffer a great loss in the future. Education is not just about getting a certificate or a stepping stone for a job. More importantly, it is a process of popularizing culture, letting children accept new things in a reasonable way, and learning the basic common sense necessary for life. Education is never useless. Without education, how can we talk about the correct 3 views? If the 3 views are not correct, how can we talk about being a human being? It is not to say that receiving education is definitely the best, and people who have not received education are unqualified. It is just that education is the best process for children to grow up quickly. Don't distort your understanding. Book friends who can understand it correctly. Please type Sister Lee in the comment area. Thank you. Zumu and Shirona can now take a leave of absence to travel, which is also a special case. Shirona is a saint in Western Europe. She has received higher education since childhood, and there is really no need to waste time in school. Zumu is a time traveler, and he has some basics, so it is enough to learn it once. Chapter 261 World King Competition. Then let Uncle Kyle arrange it. After all, Serena has yellow hair, so Zumu thinks it's more appropriate to let this girl go to school in Western Europe. As for this, Serena will be far away from him, so there's no need to worry about it. Now Zumu has Lugia and Dragonite, so if he wants to go to Western Europe, isn't it just a matter of minutes? Okay, I'll tell my father later. Sirona agreed very readily. Going to school is just a small matter. It's okay for Kyle to arrange this matter. Hee. My girlfriend is the best. Zumu saw Sirona nod and said with a smile. Sirona blushed as usual, lowered her head and gave Zumu a light glare. Humphrey, slippery tongue. Forget about Serena. She is really cute. But if you dare to go out next time and bring back a girl, this lady will not forgive you. Seeing that Sirona was still a little jealous. After all, Zumu pursed his lips and smiled. No, this is not an accident. Besides, such a cute little girl, how can I bear to see her imprisoned in the prison of the Hunter organization? Hee. I know that you know me best, my dear, good man. This is so sweet. Isn't the Kixi festival over? I can't stand it. I can't stand it. After talking with Shirona about the schooling of Serena, Zumu prepared to go back to his room to rest. Wait, the World King Tournament will open the day after tomorrow. You must make time in advance and prepare well. Zumu nodded, indicating that he had no problem. Please, with Serena, Zumu's Pokémon has become more powerful than one level. Zumu, who was originally able to fight against the Venerable, is now close to the invincible trainer. If he loses this, it would be really unfair. Just like when Ziozi met Zufeng, who was in a playful mood in Sinnoh, he took Darkrai to tyrannize the novice village under the pseudonym Darko. How unlucky that is. Don't worry, I'm fine. Zumu made an okay gesture and asked, will you accompany me to compete? Hearing this, Shirona shook her head in disappointment. Father means that I can come to watch your final. Zumu saw that Shirona was a little disappointed, and rubbed her head. He smiled and said, it's understandable. After all, this was the condition he proposed to me at the beginning, and I agreed to it. Don't worry, when I win the championship, I will go to Western Europe to challenge your father. Then I will snatch you back openly. Zumu's words made Shirona burst out laughing. You are annoying. You are the one who needs to snatch. The next day, Kyle left the East. In the past few days, Kyle actually wanted to go back a long time ago, but thinking of Zufeng's beating, after all, he decided to give Zumu and Shirona, the young couple, some time to get along. His daughter will get married sooner or later, and it's useless for him to be reluctant. If Shirona was dating someone else, Kyle would still be able to say a few words. But the problem is, Shirona's fiancé is Zumu. There is no need to introduce too much about this guy's background. In short, it can be summed up in 3 words: can't afford to offend. Nonsense. His parents will go to the office if he disagrees with you, and they will hit him in the face. Who can afford to offend him? So, many things in Western Europe in the past few days are handled by Kyle's secretary. Whether it is an open border war or other things, Kyle himself is not at the scene. But you can't stay away from it forever. After all, there is no banquet that will last forever. Zumu and Shirona were still briefly separated by Kyle. When saying goodbye, Shirona looked depressed and affectionate. Kyle felt so uncomfortable in his heart. Didn't I say that the Chinese Valentine's Day is over? What is this for? Is the dog abuse not over yet? Uncle, why did my sister leave? Does she not want uncle anymore? Seeing that Sirona was taken away by Kyle, Serena asked obediently beside Zumu in confusion. Zumu pouted and answered unhappily. She didn't want me anymore. It's her father who doesn't let us be together. Did you see that guy? The one with a swollen head like a pig. He is Serena's father. Serena nodded and said thoughtfully, then how did he give birth to a daughter like my sister when he is so ugly? Zumu gave a thumbs up to the little girl in his heart. Good kid, you still have good eyesight. You can see through the truth of the matter at once. Don't you say that Serena is really not Kyle's biological daughter. Who knows, maybe she has a good relationship with the neighbor. With a cold snort, Zumu spoke directly and secretly made up Kyle. Serena didn't know about the neighbor's joke, and didn't quite understand what Zumu meant, but she could also hear that Zumu's words were definitely not good words. Then, Uncle, what should we do next? Looking up, Serena felt that the world of adults was too complicated, and it was better not to understand it. Next, eat and drink. Tomorrow, Uncle will take you to a place to participate in a competition. When the time comes, will you be a cheerleader for Uncle? Zumu coaxed Serena like a child. However, all he got in return was a speechless look from Serena. Uncle, I told you not to treat me as a child. Your tone sounds like you are coaxing 3-year-old babies. Zumu also laughed. This was his negligence. Children in the elf world are generally precocious, especially Serena. This girl has her own clear way of dealing with things and people, especially in terms of feelings. Girls are naturally more precocious, otherwise, she would not have become the main wife of a silly thing at the age of 10. Back then, Zioxia, Zioyao, Xiaoguang and other generations of heroines had failed to win over silly things. But Serena actually won over them. It is enough to see that this girl is indeed not an ordinary child. How can an ordinary little girl determine her feelings at the age of 5, and decide to leave to pursue true love at the age of 10? Okay, Serena is a big kid now, but, isn't it good to be a baby? Serena who never grows up is the cutest. After saying that, Zumu turned and left, went back to the room and started packing his luggage and backpack. Uncle is the worst. He actually wants Serena to never grow up. You are the one who never grows up, stinky uncle. You are so short and watery. Sticking out her tongue, Serena watched Zumu leave and retorted in a low voice. You are so short and watery. Haven't you heard that the essence is concentrated? Zumu has good ears, so he naturally heard Serena's mumbling. In the room, he muttered casually, with a look of dissatisfaction on his face. Besides, what's wrong with being shorter? Children are children after all, so cute. Chapter 262 Mysterious Island, World King Competition. The next morning, Zumu and Serena boarded a plane to the mysterious island. There, the annual World King Tournament was about to be held. Yankian got the news that Zumu was going to participate in the competition, and said that she had just become a king trainer this year, and there was still some gap between her and the strength of the venerable. She took the initiative to call. She wished Zumu all the best, and after winning the championship, she hung up in a hurry. Zumu was quite happy with the blessing of Teacher Yang, a friend. After getting off the plane, Lalula's sat on his shoulder, and the invisible Hoopa was beside him, and a young and beautiful girl with golden hair followed behind him. Zumu stood on the island full of green at a glance and smiled with relief. This is the last stop. After this competition, I can go to Kyle and get engaged. Thinking that Serena will officially belong to him, Zumu was also a little excited. The childhood goddess actually met here by chance, and not only that, but also sparked love. Such an experience is something Zumu would never dare to dream of in his 8 lifetimes. But it happened. At the moment, Zumu has only one thing to do. That is to win the championship. Uncle, you seem to take this competition very seriously. Serena is very smart, and everyone understands this point without further explanation. Seeing Zumu's somewhat vicissitudes of life, she asked, well, of course I take it seriously. After this competition, Uncle will go back to marry your sister. Zumu smiled and exhaled a breath of turbid air. Lalu, is Zumu getting married? Not getting married, but getting engaged first, then going to college to study, and getting married after we graduate, Zumu said, with infinite longing in his eyes. Lalula's nodded as if he understood, and his big head was thinking about something. Does Serena have someone she likes? Zumu thought of the silly thing and asked Serena casually. Well, I don't know if I like him, but Serena has a deep impression of him. Seeing Zumu suddenly asked, Serena was not too shy and answered frankly. Zumu heard it and probably understood it. Sure enough, the summer camp between Silly and Serena happened naturally. It was good this way. If Serena didn't stay with Silly, Zumu would feel something was missing in his heart. So, has Serena seen that guy again? Zumu asked again. Serena lowered her head, a little depressed. No, I saw him once when I was a kid, and then I haven't seen him since. Zumu put his hand on Serena's shoulder and said softly, it doesn't matter. If you are destined to meet, you will meet naturally. If you are really suitable, you will definitely meet one day in the future, and then you will run towards each other and fall in love. If he doesn't like Serena, then Uncle will help you beat him until he likes her. Zumu was not kidding. When watching the anime, Silly's wooden-headed personality made Zumu very angry. Now he finally has the opportunity to intervene and take care of it himself. Naturally, he has to help Silly to open his mind. Thank you, Uncle. Hearing this, Serena laughed happily. Sure enough, the person she missed the most was that Silly guy. Alas, I really don't know what good luck this guy has, to make such an excellent girl like Serena miss him so much. Hello, you are contestant Zumu, right? A car suddenly stopped in front of Zumu and Serena. A man got out of the car, wearing a neat suit, and bent down to ask. Zumu nodded. I am Zumu. Are you an official of the competition? The man showed a professional smile and said respectfully, yes. Hello, contestant Zumu, I am Chanzao, responsible for receiving you to the contestant village. At the same time, I will introduce you to the relevant rules of this competition. Seeing that Chanzao introduced his identity, Zumu didn't say anything more, followed him into the car and went to the contestant village. In the car, Chanzao looked at Serena next to Zumu and said, this lady can live with you in the athlete village. The accommodation we arranged for you is quite large. Okay, thank you very much. He was worried about Serena's accommodation before. After all, she was not a player. It would be embarrassing for her to follow Zumu without saying hello. Now that Chanzao took the initiative to speak, Zumu was relieved. It's okay, it's my duty. Chanzao still had a professional smile and said respectfully and humbly, Zumu, the World King Tournament adopts a round-robin format. After 3 rounds of elimination matches, the remaining 8 players will play a game with the remaining opponents. Finally, the final ranking will be determined based on the score of the winning and losing games. Zumu also did his homework on the competition before coming, so he naturally had some understanding. After nodding to show that he knew, Zumu asked, why are there only 3 rounds of elimination matches this year? Chanzao heard this and smiled awkwardly. This is mainly because the number of applicants this year is small. Zumu realized, are these guys afraid of him? I heard that I'm going to participate this year, so I didn't sign up. Seeing Chanzao's embarrassed look, Zumu felt that his guess was probably about right, almost right. Well, that's good, 1 less round of competition, and it can also let the elves have a good rest. As he said that, Zumu leaned back, fell on the car, and closed his eyes in relaxation. Contestant Zumu, you are right. This can also greatly reduce the workload of our staff. Contestant Zumu, you are really our lucky star. Looking at Chanzao's flattering kneeling, Zumu smiled with satisfaction. Good guy, is this the treatment of the 2nd generation? Enjoy it. Very comfortable. Not really, I'm just an ordinary person. What lucky star or not? Not really, ha ha ha. Selena looked at Zumu's face and clenched her fists secretly. The favorability of Uncle Zumu in her heart instantly dropped to the extreme. Those arrogant villains in the movie seem to be in the same state as the uncle now. Are they going to go to the bar soon and shout that all the consumption tonight will be paid by Mr. Zu? If so, Serena swears that she will never say a word in the future, and never anger the big villain Zumu. I was kidnapped, and was rescued by the villain uncle at the beginning. What should I do? Waiting online. It's quite urgent. When they arrived at the contestant village, Zumu didn't say anything nonsense. After finding his residence, he took Serena out of the car. Contestant Zumu, Please contact me anytime if you have anything. Don't worry, I will never forget you if something happens. Chen Hao, right? My name is Chen Zhao, okay, Chen Song, . If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 263, The Pre-War Meeting That Started in the Wrong Way. Ahem. I called you out today for no other reason. We've been together for so long, and the upcoming World King Tournament is one of the competitions I take very seriously. So, I want to have a good chat with you about the order of appearance. Zumu sat in the yard, looking at all his elves, and said earnestly. He did this not to seize the power of Greninja, but mainly because he hadn't had a good chat with everyone like this for a long time. Zumu also took the opportunity of this courtyard barbecue to have a close chat with the elves, see what everyone thinks. After all, after the hunters organized this matter this time, everyone's strength has improved to some extent. Apart from other things, Greninja and Charizard alone must have secured the top positions in the team. As for the rankings in the future, there is no need to explain it so clearly. Cool. Do we still need to talk about this, my young master? I have already arranged it for you. When Greninja heard Zumu was going to talk about the order of appearance, he immediately patted his chest and said that he had thought about it. Is it necessary for Zumu, the trainer, to take action personally for such a small matter? Frog. Shut up. Cool, I said. I'm not a frog. Okay, frog. Shut up. Zumu scratched his head, hugged Greninja, and held him in his arms, not giving him the opportunity to continue talking. Lalu, is Zumu playing? He looks so happy. Roar. Little girl, you came late. There are some things you don't understand and can't say clearly. Charizard saw Alice clapping his hands to watch the fun, and whispered a reminder. This frog has probably wanted to be a trainer for a long time. Zumu is trying to regain his rights. Besides, Charizard is also happy to see the frog get defeated once. It's just that you can be happy, but you can't laugh out loud. This frog's temper of holding grudges is exactly the same as Zumu's. Seeing that Larilas was still clapping his hands happily, Charizard didn't dare to say anything more. Forget it. I'd better eat. Frogs don't bully little guys. They just settle accounts with us old guys. Just pretend you didn't see it. Swish. A white light flashed, and the large piece of meat that Charizard was about to bite off was instantly reduced to a piece of bone. No need to ask, Arceus the Speedy didn't run away. Roar, you've made progress, kid. Charizard was robbed of his food, but he wasn't angry. He just looked at Arceus in surprise. You all know that you can eat meat but not bones? What? There are still bones. Arceus swallowed the meat happily, and when he looked back, he saw that Charizard was still holding a bone in his hand. He regretted it immediately. Swish. Another white light. Charizard looked at his empty claws calmly, then nodded and said, Roar, that's right. Is it your style to not eat everything up? Waste is shameful. As he said that, Charizard clapped his hands calmly. Then, you grandma's a bear, kid. If you have the guts, don't run away. If you dare to steal my food, I will spray you to death. Charizard suddenly jumped up and hugged Arceus when he was not paying attention. Swish. Instantly moved, Arceus appeared in another part of the courtyard. I was scared to death. Fortunately I ran fast. Patting his chest in a serious manner, Arceus said that eating your meat means I think highly of you. If it's not delicious, this alpaca doesn't want it. That's the meat I roasted for a long time. Zumu, you decide for me. Charizard knew that he couldn't catch Arceus, so he ran to Zumu and yelled, like a child who had his things stolen and came back to his parents. Wait, no time. Zumu was covering Greninja's mouth with all his heart. How could he care about these things? The King of Leaf and Dragonite huddled in another corner, holding beer in one hand and meat in the other. Woo woo woohoo. Old King, we have known each other for so long in the blink of an eye, and I still have to say something about your temper towards me. I can piss in the same pot with you. Looking at the posture, Dragonite seemed to have a little too much. Woo woohoo. Cha. Listen to me, old Kui. I'm going to say this today. I, the King of Leave, have been closest to you from the beginning to the end. No one else can do that." As he said this, the King of Leave waved his hand arrogantly. Old King, please be careful with your words. Everyone is here. What you said is inappropriate. You drank too much. You drank a little too much." Dragonite danced and swayed, and his feet could not help but punch drunk. When the King of Leave heard this, he was furious. "Let go. You drank too much. My King of Leave's alcohol tolerance is this." As he said this, the King of Leave stretched out a finger. "Keep drinking." Dragonite saw it and laughed at the time. Slapping the King of Leave's hand, Dragonite said in a daze, "Yo, if you keep drinking, then I will be this." As he said this, Dragonite also stretched out a hand, and the other fingers were all erected, but the middle finger was missing. The King of Leave was a little confused, and looked at Dragonite in confusion, not understanding what this meant. Dragonite smiled mysteriously. "Drink endlessly." Lugia, Snorlax, and Bulbasaur sat together. They were still young, and they didn't drink much, just some milk and juice. "I have to say this milk is quite strong." Little Lugia smacked his lips and said. Beside him, Bulbasaur said disdainfully, "What the hell? What's this? You haven't seen the milk I drink at home. The packaging is made of gold. The milky fragrance inside, once you open the lid, wow, you can smell it throughout the city," Bulbasaur said, pretending to be intoxicated, recalling the life of luxury in the past. Snorlax sneered while stuffing food into his mouth. "Snorlax, this milk doesn't seem to have much alcohol, but the juice is quite strong. Look at the one that Bulbasaur drank. It started to talk nonsense." "You are bragging in front of me, the king of bragging. You are really like a little cow taking a plane. You are so awesome." Flame Chicken looked at Zumu's elves with a doting look and smiled helplessly. My thoughts seemed to have returned to the past. At that time, his brothers seemed to be like this too. The big ones bragged to the big ones, and the small ones bragged to the small ones. When they were not satisfied with their bragging, they would fight to prove whose bragging was true. Life was really easy at that time. Ahem. We have almost finished eating and drinking. Shall we talk about business? Zumu finally dealt with the frog. After sealing its mouth with circles of tape, he opened his mouth and signaled everyone to come closer. Chapter 264, Fire-Breathing Dragon. I remember it. Trizzard, go and carry Dragonite and King of Leave away. These two guys are drunk. Remember to convey the content of today's meeting. Zumu waved his hand and helplessly let Trizzard take the two guys away first. As expected, scholars are the most unreliable. After drinking a little wine, they can't tell the difference. Just now, Zumu heard Dragonite calling King of Leave his grandson. After King of Leave agreed, he said rebound. Dragonite covered his ears with his hands, shook his head and shouted, "Rebound isn't valid." Zumu is really convinced. Roar. Okay. Charizard agreed and ran happily to Dragonite and King of Leave. Then, each of them took a knife and knocked them all down. I have wanted to deal with these two guys for a long time. This time, it was Zumu who asked me to do it. This is called public revenge and a dirty trick. He lifted the two big guys to the side one by one and threw them to the ground. Charizard clapped his hands in satisfaction. It's done. Roar. Zumu, go ahead. I've dealt with these two guys. They won't affect us. Greninja sneered at Charizard's arrogant look. Cool carrot. I'll remember you. The one who made fun of me just now must be you, the red lizard. Tomorrow, just wait for Dragonite and the King of Leave to play mixed doubles against you, Greninja said secretly in his heart, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. His smile made Charizard feel cold instantly. Damn, forget about this frog. This guy won't complain behind my back. Roar. Zumu, look at this frog. He's not being honest either. Shouldn't you let him lie over there too? Cool quack. You frog. Your whole family is frogs. Having your mouth sealed doesn't mean that Greninja can't speak with your heart. After greeting Charizard's family in his heart, Greninja hurriedly sat on the ground obediently, motionless. He told Zumu that he was very good and would never make trouble. Zumu looked back and saw that the frog was really honest. No need. Just let him stay here. Zumu ignored the desperate Charizard and looked at Bulbasaur who was bragging to Lugia. Snorlax, you bastard, You only know how to eat. This Bulbasaur is bragging on your face. And you still eat? Lugia, you too. Why don't you learn something else? But bragging. You have learned this bad habit of our team. You are the god of the sea, and you brag when you disagree with others. How can this be disgraceful? It would have been better if Zumu hadn't said it, but he said so. Lugia seemed to remember his identity, and immediately said, "That's right, I'm the god of the sea." "What are you talking about, you garlic toad? Do you believe that if I blow a whistle, 100,000 Gyarados will come to worship me on the spot? Each of you can spit to death." Zumu, "Well, this is my Pokémon. Whoever wants it can take it away. I don't want it." "Wait, where is the skewer of meat I just grilled? How come even the skewers are missing?" Looking at the empty grill, Zumu's face turned red with anger. "Arceus, how many times have I told you that the wooden skewers can't be eaten? That's for skewering meat, not for eating. It's wood." Arceus looked at Zumu with a puzzled look. He was still chewing in his mouth, and it was obvious that he was eating the piece of meat that Zumu had grilled before. "Why can't you eat it? It tastes good." Zumu, after calming down, Zumu signaled to Lucas who had been busy, to take a break. "Stop roasting, he's about to speak." "Hoopa, turn down the volume of the game." "No, Zumu, if the game volume is turned down, I won't feel it." Hoopa pouted, looking reluctant. "Zumu, I can't bear it." Taking a deep breath, Zumu tore off the tape on Greninja's mouth. "Come on, you arrange it, I'll listen." Greninja heard it, put his hands behind his back, and smiled triumphantly. "Sure enough, without this excellent general like me, you can only be a two-man trainer." Standing up arrogantly, rubbing his wrist, Greninja swaggered past Zumu. Zumu was helpless and amused. "Okay, these guys are going to rebel. Spoiled, but I just want to spoil them. Pokémon are not machines or pets. They are partners and family. Only with their own personality can they be living beings. If they are all cut out of the same mold, well-behaved and obedient, that would be fake." "Cool, ahem. Be quiet. Let's arrange the combat mission." Greninja coughed lightly, and casually fired 2 water shurikens to wake up Dragonite and leave King on the ground. The 2 elves were instantly awakened by the water. "Cool, arrange the combat mission. Cooperate with me. I will tell you who just played a dirty trick on you two." As soon as these words came out, Leaf King and Dragonite looked at each other and nodded to indicate the deal. "Cool, Arceus. The old rules. Extra meals after the battle. Obey orders during the battle. Okay. 3 hot pot meals. 4 meals. Zumu pays." "Zumu, this is the day I have been speechless the most since the start of the game." "Cool, Lugia. Bulbasaur, be quiet for me. Snorlax, be quiet. Hoopy, cutie, don't play this game for now. I will arrange a king account that costs 10 yuan more for you later, so that you can enjoy the king game. Rallis, you are responsible for being cute." "Who else? Senior Blaziken, please cooperate with me." "Red Lizard, you are welcome to do whatever you want, you will be in trouble tomorrow anyway." After saying this, Greninja calmed down the crowd and asked everyone to cooperate and come to him and form a circle. Zumu was stunned. "So this is how it is. It seems that I, as a trainer, am not as good as a frog. It's over. I seem to have become a tool without realizing it." Zumu looked at Greninja and the others in confusion, and began to doubt himself in his heart. "Did I go too far in giving you freedom? Have the Pokémon taken over my power as trainer?" "Cool. Okay, little master, no more fuss. We will listen to you for the next tactical arrangement." As he said this, Greninja suddenly laughed. When he laughed, everyone laughed too. "Zumu, I was just joking with you." "It was Charizard's idea." "You can't be angry." Hoopa floated in front of Zumu and explained with a smile. Zumu nodded blankly. Okay, I'm not angry. How could I be angry? It's just a little joke." "I'm not a trainer who can't take a joke, right? Ha 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 ha." "It was Charizard's idea, right? I'll remember it." Chapter 265, Knockout Round. Must train. Okay, let me formally tell you my thoughts on this competition. First, there are 3 rounds of eliminations. After the eliminations, there are 7 round-robin matches. Zumu looked at the elves looking at him intently. Even Hoopa and Loris, who were not going to play, were quite serious. He was immediately relieved. This is more like it. We are all a family, right, Charizard? So, in the 3 rounds of eliminations, what we should do is to hide our strength appropriately, and at the same time give the little guys a chance to exercise. And during the round-robin match, because of the lack of rest time, I don't want the little guys to appear. The main thing is that you guys need to go all out, Zumu said, and the little guys in his words were self-evident. They were the little ones whose strength had not yet been increased by the system bug. Bulbasaur and Snorlax, you two will play in the first elimination match. Then Charizard will appear in the 3rd place. The requirements are not high, just make up for the disadvantages caused by the 2 little guys. As he said, Zumu smiled. In the 2nd game, let Bulbasaur and Lugia go first. Lugia's current strength should be able to show some strength in this level of competition, so the problem should not be too big. Although it can't crush the opponent, it can also fight. The 3rd one is still Charizard. You are responsible for finishing the work for Bulbasaur so that the partners who play later will have less pressure. Okay, for the 3rd game, it's Snorlax and Arceus. Similarly, Charizard is the 3rd one. The requirements remain unchanged. After Zumu said this, Greninja couldn't help but laughed out loud. Damn, too good. This is really Zoo-revengeful-mew. No running away, worthy of being my trainer. Perfect. Charizard looked at Zumu blankly, and his 2 bin eyes showed a helpless expression. I can't play anymore. I want to run away from home. Woo woo woo. You are bullying dragons? What did I do wrong? What bad intentions can I have? Zumu, you treat me like this, aren't you afraid that this dragon will run away and never play with you again? Crunch, crunch. Just as Charizard was having a lot of fun, Dragonite and Leaf King were pinching their fingers, shaking their necks, and looking at him with a sneer on their faces, just waiting for Zumu to adjourn the meeting. As long as Zumu gives the order, I will definitely teach Charizard how to be a dragon today. Ahem, don't be impatient. There's still round-robin battles to talk about. Zumu indicated that he hadn't finished talking yet, and Dragonite and Leaf King also restrained themselves. There will be 7 round-robin battles. Originally, my idea was that Greninja, Charizard, Dragonite, Leaf King, and Blaziken would each have 2 rounds, and then in the final decisive round, you would all go together. But now, there's no need. Zumu said, looking at Charizard with a smile. Let Charizard be the vanguard, the first to go in each game, and the goal is to eliminate more than 3 opponents' Pokémon to relieve the pressure on the partners behind. If you can't complete it, you won't have food to eat. How about this punishment? Zumu's words were unanimously agreed by everyone. Charizard is the forward, bearing all the pressure, and everyone can have a proper rest time. This is great. As for whether Charizard is tired or not, who cares? Letting Charizard go to battle may require large loss of economy, so I have made preparations in advance this time. I have already arranged VIP for Charizard in the hospital of the Alliance Center here, and the price is absolutely favorable. Don't worry, you can spend as much as you want. When Zumu said this, the smile on his mouth could no longer be controlled. Ha 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 ha. Charizard, come on, I won't save any money. Just let you fight to your heart's content. Don't thank me, who made me your trainer. Okay, Charizard has no objection, and everyone has no problem, so let's adjourn. When Zumu asked this, King of Leaf and Dragonite stood beside Charizard on the left and right without saying a word. Okay, adjourn. Seeing this, Zumu turned around with a smile, took Ralts's hand, and went home. As for Charizard, haha, those 2 hand knives. This guy was really ruthless. I just don't know if the King of Leaf and Dragonite can show some mercy for the sake of our past brothers. He shouldn't be disabled. After all, Charizard will have to do hard labor tomorrow. Well, these 2 guys are so smart. They must not be hurt by Charizard. Most likely just a black eye. There's no way. What's the point of hitting someone if you don't hit their face? Thinking about it, Zumu had already walked to Serena's room. It was already past 12 o'clock, and the little girl Serena had fallen asleep long ago. He carefully covered his daughter-in-law with a quilt, and then carried the flame-eared fox that rolled to the end of the bed back to the pillow. Zumu left with satisfaction. Silly thing, your wife and I have taken good care of you, But I don't know where you are now? You can't be separated from the elf world. Then do I have to collect you? How to say it? Zumu is willing to collect some young ladies, even if he doesn't have a harem, which involves a question of enthusiasm. But Zumu said that he really didn't want to be the director of a kindergarten when he was asked to collect stupid things or naughty kids like Mao. As for the nickname of daughter-in-law, Zumu said that when he watched anime in his previous life, he was always worried about stupid things. Every time he saw Serena take the initiative, but the stupid things didn't respond, Zumu was so anxious, just like an old father! Therefore, there is the nickname of daughter-in-law. Please highlight the key points here if you don't understand. Don't ask anymore! I don't read books seriously every day, and I rely on the big ones in the comments to reply and explain to you. Do you know that big ones will also be tired? Why do we have to save the world just because we are big? You little ones should also think about it yourself. Laurel. Zumu, can I sleep next to you? Before, Laris always slept in Zumu's room. After all, the villas of Sirona in the east are indeed big enough, and there is basically no shortage of space. But now, there are only 2 rooms, and Laris will feel uncomfortable if he leaves Zumu. In this way, there is only no way ha ha ha. Yes, Zumu didn't think too much about it. He really didn't know there was a story about a human marrying a gardevoir. Of course, even if he knew, it would be useless. Laulus was still young. Hearing Zumu nod, Laulus waved his hands happily, expressing that he was very happy. Hoopa on the side was not to be outdone. Zumu, I want to sleep on the bed too. You, go play with your hula hoop. You are everywhere. Chapter 266. My nephew is so casual. Arriving at the competition venue, the first person Zumu saw was not the referee, nor the opponent, but Zuzenzen, who was sitting high up in the judge's seat. Aunt is here? Zuzenzen, Zumu's 4th aunt, is the richest person in the entire East. After the fall of President Zhao, Zuzenzen alone took up the business banner of the entire East. In this World King competition, she officially took the position of judge as the largest sponsor. Although she is called the judge, she is actually a special guest who makes a few comments on the performance of the players. Generally, they are insignificant roles. A big boss like Zuzenzen would not bother to show up, but this year is different from the past. Her nephew Zumu is here to participate in the competition. Mustn't the beautiful Zuzenzen come to watch her nephew's competition in person? Here we go. The first player to appear is Zumu from Dongtu Fengcheng. It is reported that Zumu just won the championship in the World King Challenge this year and came to participate in the World King tournament without stopping. I believe that we don't need to introduce Zumu too much. As the first player of the new generation, Zumu's record and ability are obvious to all. And Zumu's father, Lord Zufeng, is fighting with the rockets at the border. I believe everyone knows the cruelty of war. Okay, speaking of this, a tiger father will have a dog son. Let's look forward to Zumu's next performance. The commentator, who is also the host of the show, took the microphone and licked it. In addition to Zuzenzen, there were 3 middle-aged men on the judges' bench. They were either well-known trainers in Dongtu and Western Europe, or champions of previous competitions. Among them, a middle-aged man named Duan Muyu smiled and said, Miss Zhu, are you here to see your nephew? This young man Zumu just won the championship in the King of Heaven Challenge. He is indeed not simple. Zuzenzen remembered this Duan Muyu. Duan Muyu? This name is definitely understood by old book friends 5 years ago. That was the passion of fan fiction in our era. Ha ha ha. Senior Duan Mu is too polite. Duan Mu is just taken care of more by his brother, and he works hard. It's nothing. Hard work. Zumu raised his eyebrows when he heard the conversation between the two. You said that there is a lot of care at home. I admit it, but I don't want to be labeled as hard-working. Who worked hard? I worked hard, so hard that I still dare not fight Kyle one-on-one. I don't work hard. If I work hard, I will definitely be more awesome, right? Don't belittle me when you disagree. I am now called a talent, and I haven't started to exert my strength yet. Indeed, I have watched Zumu's previous battles in the King of Heaven Challenge. This kid's current strength doesn't seem to be enough for this level of competition. right? Duan Muyu is also a veteran strongman. Although he is not invincible, he is not far behind. He also knows very well how strong Zumuyu was during the King of Heaven challenge. Indeed, what he said is correct. According to Zumuyu's performance at that time, it is indeed a little difficult to play in the World King of Heaven. It should not be difficult to get a venerable rank at the master level, but the difficulty lies in Zumuyu's identity. If they don't win the championship, will they accept it? Now Zumuyu is the hope of the new generation of the whole world. It is no exaggeration to say that Zumuyu is the top stream of the entire post-civilization world. His every move is always followed by countless netizens. Especially after the war was made public, the people learned about the pressure and cruelty of the border. They are full of respect for Zumuyu's father and those strong men, but at the same time, they are also afraid of the future. And Zumuyu represents the future. As long as Zumuyu can sweep all the way and keep growing at this momentum, the spiritual pillar of the post-civilization world will not collapse. Zhu Feng and Zumuyu, the father and son, are currently the most watched people in this world. No one else. I'm not sure about this. Zumuyu makes all his own decisions. As elders, we can only watch him work hard. The children are grown up and will soon start a family. As elders, it is not appropriate for us to continue to point fingers at Zumuyu. Zhu Zhenzin's words are a double entendre with many meanings. Similarly, Zumuyu also heard these words on the battlefield, and he was speechless. Well, are you blaming me for finding a partner too early? Didn't you urge me to expand the Zhu family? Why are you sour now? What's going on? Aren't we blood relatives? Zumuyu pouted helplessly, and he was too lazy to listen to the official and polite words on the judge's bench. It's boring. Let's play the game first. The next contestant is a gym trainer from the town of Western Newford. His name is Grell. I hope everyone can cheer for him and let Grell show all his competitive strength. The host's encouraging voice sounded again, and the cheers of tens of thousands of spectators at the scene followed. But compared with Zumuyu's cheers tsk, it seems to be a little bit off. Zumuyu spread his hands and said helplessly that his brother was so popular. Do you have any tricks? Gym trainer, it's a bit interesting. Looking at Grell, Zumuyu licked his lips. He was going to get serious. Go, Bulbasaur, just enjoy the game. Zumuyu summoned Bulbasaur, and in an instant, there was an uproar at the scene. Grell looked at Zumuyu in surprise, looking down on me. Boy, you are very good, but you can't insult me. What's the matter? Using a Pokémon that has not evolved to its final form to fight me, look down on me. At the same time, the host at the scene was also a little expert in making trouble. Oh my god, what did I see? Zumuyu actually chose to use Bulbasaur to lead the team. This is a knockout match. If he loses, he will be eliminated and go home. How confident is Zumuyu? He even trained his troops in the World King tournament. Zhu Zhenzen also frowned slightly. She didn't understand what Zumuyu was doing. Zumuyu is really different. He also decided this tactical arrangement by himself? Duan Muyu looked at Zumuyu in confusion and laughed helplessly. Do you think we will arrange for Zumuyu to start with Bulbasaur? Spreading her hands, Zhu Zhenzen replied speechlessly. However, I still believe that Zumuyu has his reasons for doing things. Let's wait and see. After all, she is an ant. She is panicked and helpless, but in the end, she will definitely speak on behalf of Zumuyu, a family member. That's right, my nephew is so casual. Training troops in the competition. What's wrong? Chapter 267, Bulbasaur evolves. Counterattack. Go. Blazing roaring tiger, let the opponent see our fury. With a roar, Grell didn't care about so much, since Zumuyu looked down on him. Then go all out and let Zumuyu pay the price. Fighting is fair competition. Since you don't go all out, don't complain about the unsatisfactory results. Roar. Got it? Watch me burn the little guy on the opposite side. Green-skinned toad, let you see my fury. Similarly, after the blazing roaring tiger appeared on the stage, he beat his chest crazily and spoke arrogantly. Fortunately, he was not fighting against the King of Leave, otherwise he would definitely be fooled. Bulbasaur, it seems that you are underestimated. Zumuyu looked at Bulbasaur helplessly, and Bulbasaur was also helpless. I am a cute Bulbasaur, why do you always call me green-skinned toad? Seek it. Come on, The opponent is talking too much nonsense. He curled his lips disdainfully and took out a huge miracle seed from the flower bud behind him and put it on his body. Bulbasaur smiled. If you don't have enough strength, you can use props to make up for it. Fiery Roaring Tiger, High Temperature Pressure. This move is a bit disrespectful. The effect of high temperature pressure is that the heavier you are than your opponent, the greater the damage. Obviously, Greer still underestimated Bulbasaur, but there is nothing wrong with him. In a good battle, he had to deal with a Pokémon that has not evolved. It doesn't take an expert to see this. Even a novice audience knows that this Bulbasaur is definitely not as strong as a master or a king. Wouldn't it be easy to fight with Fiery Roaring Tiger? After all, he is a big tiger at the peak of the king. How can he feel pressure to deal with a green-skinned toad? Bulbasaur, protect. Then Green Grass Field. Seeing this, Zumu opened his mouth and ordered. Bulbasaur was absolutely obedient. Without saying a word, he released the skill directly on the spot. With a protect, he blocked the attack of Fiery Roaring Tiger, and then pulled away and used the Green Grass Field. Sweet Breath, Sunny Day. Zumu did not rush to attack, but adjusted the environment and venue first, so that Bulbasaur could fight in the most comfortable conditions. Sweet Breath reduces the opponent's chance of dodging. Sunny Day, combined with the chlorophyll characteristics of Bulbasaur, can double Bulbasaur's speed. This set of small combos made Grail guess Zumu's tactics instantly. Fiery Roaring Tiger, don't give the opponent a chance. Flash Charge. This move is a double-edged sword that hurts yourself 800 and the enemy 1000, but it is powerful, especially suitable for physical offensive players like Fiery Roaring Tiger. Bulbasaur, success or failure depends on this one. Use Sleep Powder. At the moment, Zumu did not choose to let Bulbasaur defend and counterattack, but directly attack. You charge yours, I attack mine. It depends on the elves of both sides, who is faster and who can let the skills hit the opponent first. With the blessing of chlorophyll, Bulbasaur's speed doubles. This is also the trump card that Zumu dares to bet on. Bulbasaur also tried his best. After doubling its speed, it did have something. It used Sleep Powder almost instantly and blew it towards the Scorching Tiger. Unfortunately, the gap in strength was still too big. Just before the Scorching Tiger was hypnotized, the attack of the Flash Charge still fell on Bulbasaur. When the Scorching Tiger fell into sleep, Bulbasaur was also knocked away. The body fell heavily in the distance. Tone with a difficult cry, Bulbasaur's health was almost zeroed instantly, and it was about to faint and lose its ability to fight. But is it really like this? Thinking of every battle that Zumu experienced before, he could only watch the battle in a Pokeball. Thinking of Zumu's dangerous times, he was powerless. Bulbasaur also didn't accept it. We are all second generation. Charizard, Greninja, Dragonite, all have an awesome dad, but I am not bad. Bulbasaur, although I am the 13th child in the family, I am the most favored. After joining the team for so long, besides the unborn Celebi, there is also the incompetent Lars. Bulbasaur has always been at the bottom. Bulbasaur said, I can't accept such a contrast. I can't stand it either. Tone it, curled up on the ground, enduring the pain of the split in the body. Bulbasaur decided, I won't act anymore. I'm going to show my cards. I'm also a second generation. I'm also gifted. I'm also a fucking genius. Not a soy sauce. With a roar, the evolutionary light shone from Bulbasaur's body. This time, everyone was stunned. It turns out that player Zumu had calculated all this a long time ago, and calculated that Bulbasaur was about to evolve, so he took a risky move. Sure enough, player Zumu is worthy of being a young genius. In this level of competition, he is not nervous at all, and can control the evolution of the elves. After the host finished speaking, Duanmuyu also looked at Zumu in a daze. Miss Zu, has Zumu always been such a magical boy? Zu Zenzin was also shocked when she saw Bulbasaur almost being killed in seconds. Now seeing Duanmuyu asking, he quickly calmed down. Of course, we shouldn't guess what Zhao is thinking. This kid has been smart since he was young. Zumu was speechless. How could I know that Bulbasaur was going to evolve? You guys can just use your imagination. Anyway, I don't know anything. You can say whatever you want. Hehe. It's useless to evolve. Blazing roaring tiger, it's time to wake up. Grell is worthy of being a gym trainer. His blazing roaring tiger slowly opened his eyes with his shout. Obviously, he took the initiative to cancel the sleeping state. Come on, let them know that in the face of attribute restraint and strength gap, this small evolution can't change any situation. Grell's blood boiled. His command style has a shadow of yin and yang. That kind of high-spirited and passionate roar is definitely the most suitable style for fire elves. In comparison, Zoomu is much more plain. Bulbasaur, isn't it? Bulbasaur is good. It's not bad to evolve. It looks much bigger. Come on, experience the feeling you've always wanted to experience. Bulbasaur, Mega Evolution. Even for this Mega Evolution, Zoomu's roar was not loud. His voice was steady, without any passion. There was no way. He had seen many big scenes. This was just a drizzle. Zoomu thought he was still not suitable for the passionate command style like yin and yang. He was still groping for his way. Tone tilde. Got it? I've been looking forward to it for a long time. Bulbasaur smiled, feeling the magical light of Mega Evolution. He continued to evolve. Mega Evolution Stone. Zoomu had it before. It was a system reward. If you forget, go to the front. By the way, the process of the game is quite long. If you can't wait, you can save it for 2 days to read it together. I still want to present the best competitive battles to the book friends perfectly. As usual, if you can understand, please write in the comment area. Chapter 268 Tai Kai Kirby appears. Bulbasaur Mega evolved directly, which shocked everyone. What does it mean? Mega Evolution is used right at the beginning, and it is used on a Pokémon that is not that strong and has reached the bottom of its stamina. Zoomu, even if you have the trump card of Gigantamax, you shouldn't be so arrogant, right? Zoomu is so unexpected that he decided to use Mega Evolution at the beginning. This completely overturned our expectations. I believe Zoomu must be 100% confident in the next match. Otherwise, he would not use Mega Evolution so easily. The host's commentary continued. He is Mijayu, the new star in the commentary world who wrote poems to lick Zoomu. After that competition, Mijayu's ability was discovered by the big guys and successfully brought to such a big stage as the World King Tournament. Danman Mijayu, those who understand will understand, and those who don't understand mean that you can still be saved. Dalmu, you. Zhu Zenzin was really speechless. It is said that you should not guess what a girl is thinking, but now she has discovered that it should be Zoomu's thoughts. You should not guess. The main thing is that you can't guess it. He went to the elimination match to train his troops after a disagreement. It's okay for you to train your troops. But he also made an evolution, and then used Mega Evolution. What? After this battle, you don't have to fight the next 5 Pokémon. Grell was directly laughed at by Zoomu's behavior. Okay, is he really looking down on me? Then I will leave. Fiery roaring tiger, don't worry about him. Flash charge. Bulbasaur has overdrawn his physical strength. Even if it is double recovery by evolution and Mega Evolution, there is definitely not much physical strength left now. What we have to do now is to attack fiercely. Don't give Bulbasaur a chance to recover. But Zoomu didn't plan to recover this time. Everyone is tired of strengthening and recovering after a disagreement. Let's do something new today. Bulbasaur, how do you feel? Tone, is this a Mega Evolution? The whole body is full of power, so cool. Venusaur looked at himself intoxicatedly, feeling countless powers constantly surging in his body. Okay, just feel good. Use hardened plants. Seeing that the fiery roaring tiger was about to rush to Venusaur, Zoomu commanded slowly. Venusaur also reacted quickly, and almost instantly used hardened plants to imprison the fiery roaring tiger in place. Big word explosion. Sunshine flame. Sunshine flame can be instantly released on a sunny day. There won't be anyone who doesn't know it. Boom. The collision of the big moves produced a violent explosion. The big word explosion, which originally had an attribute advantage, was perfectly blocked by Venusaur's sunshine flame. Grell looked at Venusaur in disbelief. What's the situation? You didn't use any enhanced skills. Why can this Venusaur block the big word explosion? Zoomu smiled. Young man, you may not know that there is a magical ability in this world. It's called money ability. Venusaur is indeed not enhanced, but it has miracle seeds. This thing has no other effect. It can simply enhance the power of grass-type skills. If it is an ordinary miracle seed, it really can't enhance it so much. But is this one of Venusaur ordinary? No, this is the largest miracle seed in the entire world. No one else. Priceless, understand? A rare treasure, understand? If ordinary people get this miracle seed, they will definitely take it back as an heirloom. My Venusaur has a lot of props like this. I just want to ask you if it's exciting. Vulpecula, don't talk nonsense with him. Another Sunblaze zone. Got it. Venusaur is definitely overwhelmed by this. It turns out that fighting can be so exciting and so cool. Damn, isn't this more exciting? Another Sunblaze. The feet of the fiery roaring tiger were imprisoned by the hardened plants strengthened by the green grass field, and there was no chance to dodge. In addition, the trainer Greyer was distracted at this time, and was directly hit on the spot. Sure enough, the power is still a little lacking. Venusaur, let's use parasitic seed sleep powder. Zumu saw that Scorching Tiger was hit by Sun Flame head-on, and it seemed that the injury was not serious. He immediately changed his mind. Just use 2 big moves for fun. After all, this is still a competition. Let's win first. In the following time, Grail completely lost his function as a trainer. Seeing Scorching Tiger being hypnotized, sucking blood, and still imprisoned in place, he could only lower his head silently. This set of torture like a painful mask made Grail deeply understand what anti-armor Sunflame Landry is. Hitting me is like hitting yourself. This is really torture for you. What? Why didn't he take back Scorching Tiger? Can't you change Pokemon freely during the battle? Haha, family members. Of course you can, but, ask Zumu. Let's ask. Venusaur blocked the way with one hand, directly blocking Grail's idea of changing Pokemon. He tortured the fiery roaring tiger to the point of collapse. In a daze, he lost all his strength, and as an excellent health pack, he replenished the strength of Bulbasaur. Come back, you've worked hard. Grail was really impressed after taking back the fiery roaring tiger that fell on his dream. He had encountered Zumu's torture tactics before, but never one that was used as well as Zumu did. In short, this was a cheap mother opening the door for the cheap one. It was cheap to the extreme. Please, Wrestling Hawk. Grail released his second Pokemon and took a deep breath. He decided to face Zumu and could not treat this second-generation Pokemon as an ordinary teenager. This kid is definitely more than one level higher than him in terms of trainer level. Zumu looked at Wrestling Hawk, and then looked at Bulbasaur, who hadn't been so passionate for a long time. How about taking a break? Let's Snorlax fight? Generally speaking, trainers will choose to let Pokemon fight to exhaustion. After all, Bulbasaur had such a great time, and Zumu couldn't bear to let him go back to rest before he had enough fun. But, is this a normal situation for Zumu? Is his Pokemon an ordinary Pokemon? Bulbasaur knows deeply that although he has recovered his physical strength, he can't stand another such a big battle. Rather than being taken back by Zumu in a mess and sent to the hospital for treatment, it is better to be more sensible. Quit while you are ahead, run away after showing off. This is the advice of Greninja to Bulbasaur. Tone, okay, let Snorlax come, I'll go back first. Hearing this, Zumu chuckled and took Bulbasaur back into the Pokeball. Go, Snorlax, it's time to let them see the horror of Tai-Kai Kirby. Chapter 269. There is a tree on Snorlax's belly. Snorlax came on the scene, looked around, and found his opponent, a tiny thing. Wrestling Hawk. Snorlax, Birdman, a birdman dares to fight with me. I ate dozens of birds at the barbecue last night. Don't you know that my nickname is a professional bird eater? As long as it has wings, I can eat it. Snorlax patted his belly and deliberately burped. This made Wrestling Hawk, who already had a bad temper, angry. Shit, what is it? I'll stand here, you eat one. Let me see. Wrestling Hawk is also an old man. He has seen many boasters, but this is the first time he has seen such a boaster. He wants to eat a bird with his mouth open? That's interesting. My mouth is big enough. Can you bear it? Please pay attention to the speed when driving to avoid being reported. Thank you for your cooperation. With a double entendre, Wrestling Hawk looked at Snorlax, who was still a child, and couldn't help but feel distressed. "Still bragging, brother?" Snorlax shouted that his opponent was cheating. He was bragging, but he was driven on the highway by the other party. "I don't have a driver's license." Snorlax, Zoomu. Snorlax looked back at Zoomu. The meaning was simple: I can't drive better than this guy. Let's do it. Zoomu was also amused. This Snorlax looked chubby, like a small mountain. In fact, he was just a child. He loved to brag outside for no reason. This problem was not a problem, but we are not afraid of no good things, but we are afraid of no good people. Under the leadership of the three guys, King of Leaf, Greninja, and Charizard, Snorlax has been going further and further on the road of bragging. Unfortunately, this time he met an old driver and the car turned over. "Snorlax, bulge your belly, and go to sleep." Needless to say, Zoomu started with his signature tactics. It's not that Zoomu doesn't have other tricks, but no matter how many tricks he still has to build on the premise of this signature tactic. Wrestling Eagle, ignore him, just use high altitude pressure, a skill with both flying and fighting attributes. High altitude pressure. Seeing Greer giving the order, Zoomu couldn't help but think of the silly thing. Where is this kid now? According to the nature of the system, he is definitely not in the elf world. If he was there, Zoomu probably wouldn't have to travel through time. The silly thing seems to like Wrestling Eagle very much. Moreover, Wrestling Eagle and Serena are also very familiar with each other. Snorlax, sleep talk, multiplication technique, belly, hull roll plus meat bomb chariot. Zoomu thought about it, but the command could not be delayed, so he gave the order decisively. Snorlax was also familiar with this tactic. After the previous battle, he is now very proficient in the routine of rolling plus meat bomb chariot. Seeing Wrestling Eagle falling from the sky, Snorlax said he was not afraid. "Don't look at me sleeping. Sleeping is also a skill, Allah." "Snorlax, look at me crushing you to death." With a roar, Snorlax started. First, he enlarged his belly, then used rolling and meat bomb chariot. It was almost too late for people to react. In an instant, Snorlax and Wrestling Hawk collided with each other, a completely uncoordinated collision between a large and a small one. The result was unexpected. Wrestling Hawk actually had the upper hand? Is it a light-equipped feature? Zoomu frowned, watching Wrestling Hawk interrupt Snorlax's rolling without any damage, and thought to himself that it was not good. The light-equipped feature is a relatively new feature that many people may not have heard of. It means that when the elves are not equipped with props, the attack is doubled. Simple, crude, and direct. Snorlax, something is wrong, Gigantamax. Without any nonsense, seeing that Snorlax still had no advantage after using the belly bulge, Zoomu directly ordered Snorlax to Gigantamax. Let's popularize science here. Gigantamax is a state of enlargement that all elves can enter. However, Gigantamax is a relatively special state, which can be understood as Mega Evolution, and only special elves can have it. The Super Gigantamax state is more or less different from the normal state of the elves, and the Infinite Gigantamax is exclusive to the Infinite Tana. Let's not talk about it here for now. After the elves are Gigantamaxed, their skills will become Gigantamax skills. To put it bluntly, it is to change from more to less, making the battle simpler and easier to calculate. Personally, I feel that the appearance of this skill is useless, stupid and unnecessary. In the book, because it is an elf world, it is more realistic, so the setting of Gigantamax skills is temporarily cancelled. If you really like it, I recommend playing the Sword and Shield game. In fact, you will know after playing it. Those two skills are repeated over and over again, which is stupid and stupid. This is a simple criticism, not a swear. If I swear, I can write more than 100 chapters without repetition. Sure enough, Gigantamax. Seeing Zoomu show his last trump card, Grell licked his tongue, indicating that it was a bit tricky. But he was also secretly glad that Zoomu actually used the two trump cards of Gigantamax and Mega Evolution so early. In this way, the next battle will definitely be much easier. Wrestling Hawk, continue. Use a flying knee kick, then use a bounce, and then a high altitude heavy pressure. Grell's command was still so passionate. Zoomu was inexplicably embarrassed. Brother, it's just a game. Why are you yelling? Are you annoying or embarrassed? Snorlax, stare at the opponent and use the final impact. The final impact can be understood as the final version of the collision. It is the same as the ramming. Both sides will receive damage, but the power is as high as 150, which can be called a magical skill. Snorlax heard Zumu's command and immediately stared at the tiny wrestling hawk intently. It had already grown many times larger. Now when Snorlax looks at wrestling hawk, it is really no different from looking at a tiny thing. If it weren't for the worry that wrestling hawk was too strong, Snorlax would have wanted to sit on him to death. Boom. The collision sounded. Snorlax and wrestling hawk, who used a flying knee kick, collided with each other. Both sides retreated at the same time. Snorlax rubbed his stomach, which didn't seem to hurt at all. Although his physical strength decreased a lot, his Tai Chi Kung Fu was not practiced in vain. He picked a fruit from the tree on his stomach, put it in his mouth, chewed it, and swallowed it. You see, didn't he regain the lost physical strength? This self-sufficient operation stunned everyone at the scene. Zuzenzen looked at Snorlax in surprise, unconsciously opening her mouth, not knowing what to say. Duan Muyu and the other two judges on the side were also dumbfounded. They had never seen such a game. After the Dynamax, there can still be fruit? Miss Zhu, is this the Super Dynamax mentioned in Zumu's paper on Dynamax research? Duan Muyu, who reacted the fastest, thought of Super Dynamax at the first time and asked. Zuzenzen was also at a loss. I don't understand either. What's the point of asking me? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 270, Snorlax's Great Power. Snorlax, it should be about time. Stop playing. Zumu looked at Snorlax in silence. This guy ate the fruit growing on his stomach, and it tasted delicious. I remember when I was a child, many parents lied to their children that if apple cores or watermelon seeds were accidentally swallowed into the stomach, they would take root and sprout in the stomach and grow into a small tree. I guess Nintendo just caught this point and designed a tree for Snorlax. Snorlax, got it? Then I won't play. Looking at the confused wrestling eagle, Snorlax showed a cruel smile. Little baby, let the uncle pamper you. After saying that, Snorlax no longer hesitated and rushed up with his belly. There was no other purpose, just to hit him. Snorlax knows martial arts. No one can stop him. Wrestling Eagle hit back with a high-altitude heavy pressure, and hit Snorlax's stomach. Then, it was cruelly bounced back, landing on the ground in a mess. Wrestling Eagle looked at Snorlax aggrievedly. I can't play anymore. This guy seems to be bigger than me. Is he still a human? What a scoundrel. Wrestling Hawk, don't be afraid. Use bodybuilding. Seeing that the elves couldn't hold on and were about to collapse, Grell hurriedly commanded Wrestling Hawk to use bodybuilding to strengthen his attack. In fact, if Wrestling Hawk strengthened himself at the beginning, Snorlax might not be able to stop him, but now, Snorlax didn't bother to stop it. Isn't it just strengthening? You strengthen it as much as you can. Come on, I'll sit down today and watch you strengthen. After finding a comfortable position, Snorlax leaned on the ground, indicating that he had no objection, and you just strengthened it as much as you can. If you can break the defense, you win. Snorlax's attitude as a big boss was firmly grasped. During this period of time following Zumu, he didn't learn much else, but he saw a lot of big bosses. There was nothing wrong with pretending to be a big boss. Zumu watched Snorlax start to be arrogant and couldn't help but laugh. This guy's personality is really nothing like his own. It's not good to be so vindictive. You will suffer in the future. Didn't Wrestling Eagle say anything? Just saying that it's bigger than you. You're not happy? You're a fat guy. Isn't it normal that your penis is a little smaller? No one is laughing at you. I don't mean to hurt the fat book friends. If you accidentally break the defense, please criticize the author for being short. Ha 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 ha. Wrestling Eagle, come again. High altitude heavy pressure. After strengthening, looking at Wrestling Eagle with restored confidence, Grell ordered again. This kind of hot-blooded trainer generally has one characteristic. That is, they will not give up until they see the Yellow River. and they will not cry until they see the coffin. Before the last moment of the battle, they always believe in the arrival of miracles. And then, miracles? Haha. Do you believe in light? Zumu looked at Grell, who was full of blood and hope, and really wanted to ask. As expected, the high-altitude heavy pressure of Wrestling Eagle was blocked by Snorlax's belly again. Then it rebounded. It is true that the current Wrestling Hawk's attack power should definitely exceed that of Snorlax by more than a little. But what is Tai Kai? It is the essence of Chinese culture. Cough cough cough. I am getting off topic. Tai Kai is a classic of the weak defeating the strong. It is an intangible cultural heritage of our country. It is. Anyway, it is absolutely wishful thinking for a Wrestling Hawk to defeat the Gigantamaxed Tai Kai Kirby. Snorlax, it's almost done. This kid is quite pitiful. Don't let him have a shadow on Fatty in the future, okay? Zumu saw Wrestling Hawk being bounced off Snorlax's belly again and again. Then, with the encouragement of Grell, he was not discouraged and fell into the trap again and again, actively crashing into it. It was really a bit hard to bear. It should be said that this Grell is really similar to the stupid thing. Even the elves are similar. They are all stubborn guys. Alas, just think of it as a virtue for Serena. Looking at Serena sitting in the front row not far away, Zumu said that he couldn't continue to abuse it like this. It was a bit inhumane. Kirby, Zumu, I haven't had enough fun yet. He said I was small. I must teach him a lesson. Snorlax was not convinced. How could Snorlax tolerate the challenge to his dignity as a man? He couldn't tolerate it. Just like some people always say that the author is short and watery. I have taken screenshots. Humph, don't let it fall into my hands. Alright, you are going too far. It's the first time for me to be a Pokémon. I can tolerate some mistakes. You can't just force me to death. Almost, that's enough. Just sit on your butt and die. No, don't sit on it and die. This is a competition. Just sit and the Aku. It is said that there is a kind of trainer. There is a kind of Pokémon. Snorlax's habit of taking revenge for every little grievance is definitely from Zumu's words and deeds. Kirby, okay, I'll listen to you. Scratch his head foolishly. Snorlax stopped talking nonsense. Looking at Wrestling Hawk and Grell who were still cheering him up, Snorlax jumped high. Then, bang. I won't describe the scene in detail. Anyway, when the entire venue was shaken like a magnitude 10 earthquake, Wrestling Hawk lost its ability to fight. As the venue of this World King tournament, Mysterious Island is surrounded by the sea. With this Taishan crush, Snorlax lowered the horizontal line of Mysterious Island by several meters out of thin air. Oh my god, this Taishan crush is simply the most powerful Taishan crush I have ever seen in my life. Let's take a look at Grell's Wrestling Hawk. Where is Wrestling Hawk? No, I just saw him in this position. After Snorlax's butt moved away, the host Mijayu was ready to announce the result of the game, but was surprised to find that Wrestling Hawk was gone. At the same time, fortunately, the rescue team came up in time. Several doctors brought Hapni, carried stretchers and shovels directly to the field, and started digging without saying a word. They are all experienced. In Zumu's matches, the medical team and the rescue team must be on standby at all times. It's better to be safe than sorry. If the rescue team hadn't arrived in time, I'm afraid there would be no two of Jianzhu's elves last time. This time, thanks to the cleverness of the doctor of the rescue team, the Wrestling Eagle, which was only half-breathed, was dug out from the ground at the first time. This kid is also unlucky. When he was pressed by Snorlax, he didn't have time to use protection, and was buried alive by an organ called buttocks on the spot. Later, when Snorlax got up, the irregular movement of the buttocks and the ground caused the unconscious Wrestling Eagle to sink deep into the ground. This is also the reason why the host couldn't find the Wrestling Eagle. Snorlax, Zumu, I said I didn't mean it. Do you believe it? Zumu smiled. Now it's not a matter of whether you did it on purpose or not, but how should I explain it? If I say I didn't mean it, will the audience believe it? Chapter 271, The Coolie Fire-Breathing Dragon Appears. After fighting the Wrestling Eagle, Snorlax licked his lips with satisfaction, feeling that he could fight another round if he tried harder. Zumu was speechless. Big brother, you should take a break. If you fight again, I'm afraid that Mysterious Island will be destroyed by you. If Mysterious Island is submerged by the sea, everyone present will be celebrated if half of them survive. There is sea all around, and the tsunami is coming. It's really unbearable. Come back, it's almost done, and it's time to let Charizard come out for some air. Zumu smiled and took back Snorlax, releasing his own Charizard. Come on, Charizard, it's your turn to perform, Zumu said with a smile, his eyes kind and gentle. Charizard shuddered, looking at Zumu's gentle eyes. He said cautiously, "Roar." Zumu, can I ask what the situation is now? Don't get me wrong. It's not that I won't help you fight. I just want to analyze the situation on the scene. Charizard's face was swollen like a steamed bun. No need to ask. It must be the fault of Dragonite and the two scholars who asked for leave last night. Nothing. It's just that the opponent has 4 elves left. I believe you. Zumu did not pursue Charizard's talkativeness and answered frankly. Roar? 4? Charizard was stunned. It's all up to me. It's okay. If it mega evolves, it should be possible to fight 4 elves in a row. The opponent is probably at the Master or King stage, not the head. I still have a chance of winning. I won't die for the time being. I should. Charizard muttered softly and began to calculate. Zumu did not interrupt. After Charizard finished speaking, he said, well, I forgot to say that Bulbasaur evolved just now. I just used Mega Evolution while I was there. It was cool. Charizard, what? You guys who came to the competition to practice, and you used my trump card without saying anything? What should I do? I, Charizard, am not worthy of Mega Evolution? I have to fight the 4 Pokémons naked? It's unreasonable. Zumu smiled and shook his head, looking at Charizard. He said, protest is invalid. This is reasonable. Charizard lowered his head silently. The dragon had to bow his head under the eaves. What could he do? Fight. Isn't it just 4 Pokémons? Grit your teeth, stamp your feet, fight steadily, and it will be fine soon. Just pray not to get hurt, otherwise in the next game, according to Zumu's character, I'm afraid I will have to fight 4 more. Roar. Come on. Charizard roared to give himself courage, and he regretted it a little. Why did he talk so cheaply at the beginning? Why did he provoke Zumu for no reason? It was painful enough to fight with Dragonite and the King of Leaf. Zumu was even more cruel. I won't beat you, but I will make you uncomfortable. Swearing in his heart, Charizard decided that he would never take the initiative to provoke Zumu again in his life. This trainer is an absolute villain. No, he is not as good as a villain. This old dog coin. It's no use scolding me. We have already discussed that if we can't fight 4 people alone today, you won't have dinner. Give your share to Arceus. In the Pokeball, Arceus heard Zumu's words and cried excitedly. Is there food again? It's true that people sit in the ball and food comes from the sky. Thank you, Charizard. You are such a good brother. Seeing Charizard reluctantly accept his fate and prepare to face the battle head-on, Zumu shook his head with satisfaction. This guy is usually too lazy. He is willing to endure hardships in training, but he will hide in actual combat. This won't work without sufficient actual combat experience. After the system bug improves his strength, his foundation will definitely be unstable. According to the training materials of some invincible trainers that his Aunt Zuhong left to Zumu, Zumu knew that Charizard's current state is not lacking in experience or skills. It only lacks combat. This guy is indeed too hard in training, and he often trains with Greninja until late at night. But the problem is that Greninja knows to take the initiative to fight. I don't know what's wrong with Charizard. Unless it's unavoidable, he won't take the initiative to accept anything related to fighting. It may be due to his cautious personality. It just so happens that Zumu wants to take this opportunity to give Charizard some practical experience. Well, all the things I said above are bullshit. It's just that Zumu wants to retaliate against Charizard, and he found an excuse for himself in his heart. Please, Blastoise. Seeing Zumu's Charizard, Rhaegar almost subconsciously chose to release Blastoise. There's nothing else to say. Blastoise fights Charizard, and Water Turtle fights Charizard. This is a big drama passed down from the ancestors. Gee, this red lizard seems to be a bit strong. Blastoise looked at Charizard as if facing a great enemy. The meaning is very clear. This guy seems to have some strength. and it is not suitable to fight hard. Charizard looked at Blastoise arrogantly. Big brother is now at least at the level of a master in the early stage. Shouldn't he walk with his head down when he goes out? Blastoise, use water cannon. Charizard, big character explosion. Don't say you can't block it. The green grass field plus the sunny day, plus Charizard's strength. If this big character explosion can't block the water cannon, then it's a ghost. If this is true, you should doubt whether this Blastoise can use the Wave Guide. Could it be that Teacher Lou is also one of the lost protagonists, and you needs to collect it? Boom. After the mist disappeared, looking at the intact Charizard, Regal showed a difficult expression. I didn't expect that Zumu's Charizard was so strong. At the same time, Zenzen and Duanmuyu in the stands were also shocked. Early stage of Master. How long has it been since the King Challenge? That Charizard at the peak of the King actually directly skipped the Master level and directly promoted to the early stage of Master? Miss Zoo, are you sure this Charizard is the one that Zumu used in the King of Kings Challenge? Duanmuyu now seriously suspected that Zumu had two Charizards, but the one he used before was the weaker one in the King of Kings Challenge. Zenzen looked at the Charizard and glanced around cautiously, pacing in small steps, ready to avoid attacks at any time. Direct Hammer. This is the Charizard of Zumu for sure. It shouldn't be. Did this guy eat Gin Claw? It's only been a few days, and he's already in the early stage of the leader. In a few days, will my elder sister be unable to beat this kid? Really promising. Good boy. Really excellent. Zenzen kept praising Zumu in her heart, and said that her mood at this moment was very beautiful. Zumu, this kid, is really proud. Chapter 272. The fire-breathing dragon is about to defy the heavens. Not only the audience was stunned, Charizard himself was also stunned. Roar. Fuck? Is this my big word explosion? He didn't expect that his strength would be so strong. The strength of the early stage of the Master, at the current stage, is a devastating blow to the opponent. It is no exaggeration to say that the Pokémon in the Master stage, participating in the World King Tournament, is completely a bully. For ordinary players, if there is a Pokémon in the early stage of the Master, then it is definitely a candidate for the championship. Now, Charizard is this ace Pokémon, but Zumu uses it as a stupid cool. Charizard said humbly, baby is bitter. Charizard, what are you doing? Come on. Zumu saw Charizard was stunned, and immediately speechless. This idiot is also amazing. Oh, that's right. Charizard was reminded by Zumu, and quickly reacted that he was still fighting. He immediately used the Dragon Wave, and then threw his whole body forward, preparing to fight with Blastoise in close combat. Without saying a word, Blastoise was left with only the curse of fuck you. Where did this freak come from? He was even more awesome than my enhanced water cannon. It's fine if he's awesome, but he actually wanted to fight me in close combat without saying anything. I'm Blastoise. Have you ever seen a turtle fighting a human? Blastoise, use the shell retraction, then spin at high speed. Grell hurriedly ordered Blastoise to use the spinning skills to prevent Charizard from restricting it. However, Charizard never thought of restricting Blastoise. With a move of Steel Tail, Blastoise was directly blown away by the spinning, and Charizard opened his mouth and fired a Dragon Wave to make up for it. Ouch! Blastoise was a little dazed by the blow. Although it didn't hurt too much, Blastoise said that he really couldn't accept Charizard's doing this. Blastoise, use the water cannon. Seeing that the turtle couldn't bear it, Grell hurriedly ordered. Charizard stood there, letting the water cannon hit him, not moving. Then, he turned around and fired a Dragon Star cluster. After flying into the sky, the Dragon Star group followed the attack of Charizard's Dragon God Dive. Boom. A huge explosion sounded. Charizard, who was carrying a water cannon and was unharmed, stood proudly in place, looking coldly at the Blastoise on the ground. The meaning in his eyes was self-evident. That's it. Grell gritted his teeth and put the miserable turtle back into the Pokeball. He looked at Zumu angrily and said angrily, isn't it too cruel? Zumu was really helpless. He spread his hands and said, my Charizard is like this. I can't correct it several times. I'm sorry. I've wronged your turtle. The smiling look made people want to press Zumu to the ground and beat him up. Just wait. Grell shouted angrily as he handed the Blastoise's Pokeball to the rescue team on the sidelines. First, the wrestling eagle man was dug out from the ground by the rescue team and carried into the Aku. Another Blastoise was bullied by Charizard. At this moment, Grell really couldn't stand it. This is intolerable. With a roar, Grell released his fourth Pokémon, Beep. At this moment, the host indicated that Grell had already lost 3 Pokémons and was taking a halftime break. The game will continue in 10 minutes. Zumu pouted and said that it didn't matter. He was too lazy to take back the Pokeball for Charizard. Come here and take a break. We'll play again later. As he said that, Zumu turned around and walked to Serena in the stands. How is it, Serena? Uncle is awesome, right? Zumu looked at Serena with a smile, just like looking at his own child. Serena raised her head happily. Uncle is awesome. The little girl puffed up her little mouth and pretended to be exaggerated, which made Zumu like her very much. Sure enough, she is so cute and adorable. This is his daughter-in-law. Wait a minute. Seeing Serena wearing a pink hat and holding a flaming fox, she was sitting alone in the stands. Zumu was worried that the little girl would feel bored, so he ran to the side and bought her a portion of popcorn, as well as some snacks and drinks. He immediately pressed Arceus's Pokeball and said that this guy wanted to come out and snatch food from his daughter-in-law. Dreaming, Uncle. Seeing Zumu coming over with a bunch of delicious food, Serena was stunned. What's the matter? I saw that you were bored sitting here, so I bought you some food. You are so stupid. Didn't I give you a card? There is money in the card. You should spend it. How can you be passionate about watching the game if you sit here without eating or drinking? Zumu said reproachfully, throwing a grain of popcorn into the mouth of the flame-eared fox. Serena lowered her head, blushing, not knowing what to say. The child was moved. Oh, the game has started. I'll go back first. Don't run around later. Wait for me here. Zumu saw the host Mijayu signaling him to go back quickly, and didn't say anything more. After giving instructions, he hurriedly threw it away. As soon as Zumu left, Serena's tears fell. Uncle, thank you. She patted the head of the flame-eared fox with sobs. The little guy was looking up and asking Serena what was wrong. I'm fine, flame-eared fox. I'm just too happy. Putting a grain of popcorn into the mouth of the flame-eared fox, Serena looked at Zumu's back and gradually felt a sense of security. Leaving her home, Serena was a little scared, not to mention being imprisoned in the prison for 2 days by the Hunter organization. When Zumu just rescued Serena, Serena was still not too relieved. She was still used to locking the door when sleeping and secretly observing the surrounding environment. After confirming that this was really not her world, Serena could only rely on Zumu helplessly. At this moment, Serena changed from being passive at the beginning to being active. Perhaps, it would be good to stay with her sister and uncle. The uncle should be a good person, although he looks bad. Charizard, have you rested enough? If you have, let's get to work. Roar. No problem. Charizard roared with excitement, indicating that he was ready to fight at any time. On the other side, Grell, who was in a low mood, also took advantage of these 10 minutes to sort out his condition. Standing at the other end of the battlefield, he released his fourth Pokémon. Please, Infernape. Infernape is the most common Pokémon on the roadside in the first generation, no doubt about it. It is second only to Rattata and Caterpillar. Oh my god, I can actually meet such a rare Pokémon in the competition? This is unreasonable. Zumu was shocked. Infernape. This Pokémon is definitely one of the Pokémon with the lowest appearance rate in the competition. Who would have thought that Grell would actually send this guy to play? It seems that Charizard's Super God moment will come early. Chapter 273, I heard you have a bad temper? Charizard looked at Infernape, and Infernape also stared at Charizard. After the two Pokémon stared at each other for a while, Charizard was the first to break the silence. Roar, how did you get to the master level? Although Charizard didn't read much, he also knew after Dragonite's popular science that this Infernape was an Pokémon with a very low racial value. Basically, the king is the best. Like this guy in front of him, he can actually become a late master and stand on the field of the World Championship. Charizard was really confused. Humphrey, what do you care? A well-shaped figure appeared on his forehead, and Infernape felt that he was looked down upon by Charizard. The little temper couldn't stand it at the time, and clenched his little fist, ready to give Charizard a sweet critical hit. Infernape, use Wreck. Grail saw that Infernape was in a bad mood and hurriedly gave the order. Zumu narrowed his eyes, a little helpless. Charizard, fly. To deal with a player like Infernape, it's over if you don't land. Do you need tactics? No. Charizard took off, and in the air, he looked at the jumping Infernape, and laughed out loud. Holding his stomach, Charizard laughed and asked, "Roar? Ha 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 ha. Are you trying to make me laugh to death? Hey, that stupid monkey with a pig nose. Come up. What kind of temper does Infernape have? That's a hot temper." Can he tolerate Charizard's provocation? He can't. Humphrey, you bastard, come down if you can. Looking at Charizard in the sky, Infernape cursed angrily. Charizard dared to bet that this was the first time in his life that he was not angry after being scolded, but wanted to laugh instead. Really, this Infernape looks like a mythical beast that can't fly. It's just too funny. Roar. I won't go down, but I heard that you have a bad temper. Is that true? Infernape's head was almost on fire with anger. Seeing that Charizard dared to mock him, he exploded on the spot. HMPH. I'm not angry. Only fools have bad tempers. As he said that, Infernape started to build up body under Grail's order. Strengthen himself? Seeing Infernape using the bodybuilding, Charizard was not idle either, dancing on the spot, using the dragon dance. When the enemy advances, I retreat. When the enemy is tired, I fight. When the enemy eats, I dance. When the enemy dances, I puke. As Charizard danced gracefully, he said, "Roar, you still have the nerve to show off your muscles? You are as weak as a chicken, and you are still building up body. Go back and pretend to be dead. If you pretend to be dead, I think you are quite talented. Look at your calves and arms. What are you showing off? Are you afraid that others don't know that you are weak? Child, be obedient. Go home quickly, have a good sleep, and you can have anything in your dreams." As Charizard said this, he yawned unconsciously. Infernape was done with his anger. Blinking his eyes, he looked at Charizard in the air with anger and leaped with all his might. "Ah, you're so anxious. So what if you're anxious? You can't reach me. I'll fly down a bit. You jump hard. Maybe there's still a chance. Come on, try again." Charizard was in the air, and when Infernape jumped up, he moved gracefully to avoid Infernape's attack. Then he used the return key on the spot, a fatal taunt, and a heartbreaking blow. Infernape really couldn't stand it. He covered his little heart, feeling a little bit uncomfortable. Grail couldn't stand it anymore. "Infernape, come back first?" Grail asked tentatively, and decided to take Infernape back. There was no way. This guy's tactical limitations were too great. With all melee physical skills, Infernape had almost no chance against Charizard. He could only be kited or toyed with constantly, and there was nothing he could do. Huh? Go back? Impossible. I won't go back. There is a kind of person who has a bad temper, is weak in strength, and refuses to listen to advice. Seeing that he was being kited by Charizard infinitely, Infernape, a hot-tempered man, couldn't stand it. "Why go back? I won't go back. I'll fight to the end today." Charizard watched Infernape avoid the trainer's Pokeball and retract the beam, and immediately realized that Grayer was going to change Pokemon. "Is this okay? I just finished dancing and haven't made a move yet, and you want to take this little toy back? Can I tolerate this?" Without Zumu's command, Charizard opened his mouth and fired a vortex of fire. "Stay here obediently." Infernape didn't even try to avoid the vortex of fire. How painful can this thing burn people? It's not a big problem, right? It's better than the trainer taking it back just because of a disagreement, right? With the last bit of reason, Infernape made a calculation. That is, it is more cost-effective to bear the damage from the vortex of fire and actively avoid the red light of Grayer taking back the Pokemon. Otherwise, he will have to face the double attack of his trainer and opponent. This is not worth it. Zumu said that he was really stunned. "Charizard, why don't you hurry up? This kid's IQ is not enough. Why are you bullying a fool so hard?" Charizard was indeed a little sorry for what Zumu said. "Roar, Zumu, you are right. Why should I be so serious with a fool?" As he said that, Charizard used an air cut in his backhand. Flying skills, double damage to Infernape. Infernape, use Restraint. Restraint is a ruthless trick, and it is also the only skill that Infernape currently has that is suitable for dealing with Charizard. Compared with the obvious disadvantage of the Destruction Death Ray, Grell is more inclined to use Restraint. However, is it that simple? Of course not. Charizard, get out of the way. Zoom's instructions were simple, but very practical. The Dragon Dance was performed 6 times, which increased Charizard's speed to the extreme. With a small restraint, Charizard said that he could avoid it by just flapping his wings. Sure enough, after forcibly enduring the attack of the air cut, with all the restraint that Infernape hoped for, Charizard easily avoided it. What he did in return was a Dragon God Dive. Infernape looked at the aggressive Charizard that fell from the sky, and his first reaction was not to dodge or protect. Instead, he used the Sky Punch and rushed up to fight him. This scene surprised Charizard. When the Sky Punch and the Dragon God Dive collided, it was also the only time that Infernape touched Charizard in this battle. Bang! A simple and powerful explosion sounded. Charizard flew back into the air with the reaction force, and casually used a Dragon Wave to make up for it. Boom! After the secondary damage, the smoke dissipated. Infernape dragged his tired body and fell to the ground. Charizard looked at the unconscious Infernape, picked his nose, and snorted disdainfully. Roar! Boy, don't you have a bad temper? Why are you scared? Chapter 274. Can you really fly? Please, Archon. Silently taking back Infernape, Grell habitually handed the Pokeball to the rescue medical team. Finally, he sent out his 5th Pokémon. Seeing Archon fluttering on the scene, Zumu and Charizard looked at each other. How should I put it? A little confused. Charizard, this guy seems to have some control over you. Roar? Really? Yes. This guy is a rock type, Zumu said seriously, and Charizard nodded seriously. But for some reason, the two of them seemed to have selectively forgotten something. Kuha, I'm a flying type. Archon saw that Zumu and Charizard were about to assume that he was a rock-type Pokémon, and immediately spoke. I am a dual attribute Pokémon of the rock and flying types. Can you respect me? As he said that, he deliberately waved his wings twice to show that he could really fly. Then, roar! Zumu, I remember Dragonite told me that this guy is just like Dodo. He runs really fast. Zumu nodded. He replied seriously, I know. This guy runs faster than he flies. Roar? Are you sure this guy can fly? Zumu saw Charizard looking at him blankly, and then he realized that it seemed to be true. Can this guy fly? I'm not sure. A little unconfident, Zumu never said anything about things he was not sure about. I don't know. I'm not sure. Archosaur can't fly. It should not be able to fly. Grell couldn't stand it. I used Infernape just now, and you two bullied Infernape because it couldn't fly. You don't have good brains. That's fine. Now I'm using someone who can fly to deal with you, but you actually doubt my Archosaur's ability to fly? Archaic. Use Fly. Grell held back his anger and gave the order directly. Aren't you doubting? Then I'll let you two bastards see. Just because you look like a Tootsie doesn't mean you can't fly. At least the feathers of the archaic bird are much prettier than those of a Tootsie. Kuha! With a loud roar, the archaic bird took a deep breath, then spread its wings and stepped forward. He's going to fly! He's going to fly! Wait. The archaic bird hasn't started yet. It's just a run-up. Just like an airplane, if you want to fly, you have to accelerate with a run-up. The archaic bird is a species that needs a run-up to fly into the sky. Maybe this is why they are extinct. Charizard watched the archaic bird fly into the sky. How could he bear it? It would be unreasonable not to help. Roar! I'll help you. With a loud roar, the Charizard used a tailwind move in the sky and knocked the running archaic bird to the ground. It fell hard and painfully. Seeing the archaic bird fall, the Charizard scratched his head in embarrassment. Roar! Sorry, I used the wrong force. How about you try again? This time I promise to use more force to help you fly. The ancestor bird stood up from the ground tremblingly. Feeling the strong conspiracy in the air, he roared angrily, Kuha! I don't need your help, bastard. The effect of the tailwind is still there. The fierce wind made the ancestor bird's eyes a little hard to open, and its feathers were a little messy. Roar? No? Okay, I won't help you. Then you fly. I'll watch. the fire-breathing dragon said with a look of being a good boy, trying not to laugh. Zumu covered his face, feeling a little embarrassed. This fire-breathing dragon is really good at bullying the weak. Scratching the ground with his claws twice, the ancestor bird cheered himself up again. Then he spread his wings and started running. The ancestor bird use high-speed movement. Grail still knew what kind of elves his family was like. According to the interference of Charizard's tailwind, if the ancestor bird didn't use the skills, it might not be able to fly today. Roar, isn't flying an instinct? Why do you need skills? Charizard pretended to be confused, looking at the ancestor bird on the ground using high-speed movement to accelerate the sprint, and another plan came to his mind. Flapping his wings, Charizard aimed at the ancestor bird and greeted it with a hot wind. He swore that he really didn't use the skills in the opposite direction this time. This hot wind is purely to promote the speed of the ancestor bird's running. That is, this push is a bit fierce and a bit hot. Ah! With a miserable howl, the ancestor bird was caught off guard by the Charizard's hot wind. It fell on the way to the run again. Looking at the sky, the azure sky and the white clouds, the ancestor bird wanted to cry but had no tears. Okay, Charizard, you are almost crying because of the bullying. Zumu finally couldn't stand it anymore. As an opponent, Zumu said that he felt a little sympathetic towards Grail and his Pokémon. Let's end the battle quickly, Zumu said in an impatient tone. Grail was so shocked by Zumu's words that he immediately shut himself up. What's the matter? Is it that easy to defeat my Pokémon? The current situation is that your Charizard is bullying my Archon, and you are still impatient? Roar! I know, I'm taking this opportunity to take a break, because there is still a strongest one to fight. Charizard spread his hands and looked at Archon helplessly. He spread his hands not to show helplessness, but mainly to tell Archon that I can fly without hands, and fly very steadily. Puff. Everyone at the scene seemed to hear the sound of Archon vomiting blood at this moment. To be honest, this is the worst day for the Pokémon that cannot fly to be blackened. Somewhere in the dark, Groudon, who was far away in the Pokémon world, was sleeping, and suddenly a sneeze woke him up from his sleep. He looked at the magma around him in confusion, as if there was no one. Touching his nose, Groudon blew a mouthful of fire at the magma to heat it up. This damn weather is getting worse day by day. Have you caught a cold from sleeping? After enduring 3 consecutive dragon waves from Charizard, the great bird finally fell to the ground unwillingly. Opening his eyes with the last bit of obsession, the great bird looked at the blue sky, and an inexplicable desire rose in his heart. However, desire is just desire after all. He may never be able to kiss this beautiful sky again in this life, and he will never be able to fly freely again. For some reason, in his subconscious, the great bird wanted to go back to the ancient times tens of thousands of years ago. I remember that at that time, elves could not fly. What? You said they could? Bullshit. I tell you that I can't. Anyway, I can't! That's right, none of us in the Great Bird Clan can fly. We are all ancestors of Jutuli. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.